talk, they just want to text. Always looking forward to the shiny next. High expectations, nothing left to give. That ain't the way that we're supposed to live. Oh, the mirror's telling lies today. Throwing all the real right away. We're caught up in a game that nobody will. Trading all its heart for original sins. We gotta tear it down for the brand new start. Put a little soul back in the human heart. In the human heart. Checklist and demands written on the wall. Building up a tower just to watch it fall. Independence shouldn't mean you walk alone. Turn a castle to a pile of stone. Every conversation feels like a test. Nobody's willing just to do their best. We forgot the magic of a simple touch. Asking for the world but not offering much.
Laughing Man, what is up, my brother? What is up? So what happened Monday? I came home late, right? I didn't get home until late because of work. So yeah, that's the thing, right? It happens for me. Thank you for missing it. Thank you for missing the live. But yeah, I wanted to do the live, but I got home like 9 or so. Then after eating, it was already around 10. So I just even if I wanted to, I just forget about it. It is what it is. It happens. But thank you for the love. Thank you. All right. Thank you for noticing. I love you, man. Nah, Laughing Man. I love it. Right. It's all good. I love your personality. All right. So we will have an interesting video I want to check out tonight. Hopefully it'll be good to react to. Oh, what do you thought about the Doomsday trailer? I know that you love that stuff. I let me say this, right? I thought it was good, right? I thought it was good. I am a bit excited, right? So there's some excitement to the new Avengers. So I'm hoping for it. Everything's all good with my girl. She's doing well now. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited with the new movie. Hopefully it will be good. I'm a little bit worried because they really prop up Doom, right? They really propped up Doom to be that to be even more powerful than Thanos. So because there was no build up, right? There's been no build up for Doom. There's been a build up for Thanos. So in one movie, you're going to introduce the man and you're going to make him so powerful. It's like, Thanos had a build up, right? He had a build up to be as big ass badass as he is. Doctor Doom doesn't, right? And I think that's a problem with like Marvel movies lately. They're not building up anything anymore. And they were synonymous for that, right? The end cut scenes, how connected the movies were. Now I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in that aspect because they didn't build the story well. So we'll see. I mean, like, I am hopeful. I am hopeful for the Avengers Doomsday. So I'm definitely going to check out Spider-Man. Hopefully, it will lead into Avengers well. So I'm definitely going to check it out. It's good, but I bet it's not going to be in the movie. It's going to say "Gotcha Hollywood." I don't know. If Disney fails me with these two movies, I think I don't know. I think I will give up on them. I really do. So we'll see. We'll see. I can't wait. I can't wait to check it out. All right. There's this I guess what you I guess a debate kind of thing. I guess it's debate or whatever. Where single mothers versus single dads. So it's from this channel Counterpoint. No, see, Doom is again, no doubt Doom is badass, right? Doom has always been a threat. The problem is you didn't build him up to be, right? You can't just assume people will, figure that out thanks to, let's say, thanks to the comic books. People won't read the comic books, right? People have to figure it out. I'm sorry, through the movies, right? That's what they did with Thanos. You did not need any extra homework, right? To understand how badass Thanos is. You did it through the movies. If you watch the movies, you will understand how big of a deal Thanos was. They're just for the new Marvel movies, this is the first time Doctor Doom has been introduced. So I don't know. We'll see. We will see. All right, let's check this. Let's check this thing out.
Single fathers are respected more in society.
I believe I don't think he's smarter than Reed Richards. I don't think he's smarter than Reed Richards. Last I checked, I think Reed Richards is one of the smartest, if not the smartest person in Marvel Universe. I believe, but I don't think Doctor Doom is smarter. Single fathers are respected more in society than single mothers. No, they're not. Absolutely not. Right? You're always hearing it, right? How women constantly want to prop up mothers, single mothers. They prop up mothers. Single fathers are not respected. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't water him down for the movie, but still, they build him up, right? They had multiple movies to build up the mystique of Thanos, right? So you know about him. He had his fingers in everything that was going on in the Marvel universe, right? So you build up the character to be some grandiose threat, right? You build him up to be a grandiose threat. So
Than single mothers. We'll start by bringing up everyone that agrees now. Why do you feel that single fathers get more respect than single mothers in society?
I think they get more respect because there's fewer of them.
that doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense. You know, Thanos was very evil in the comic book. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he was very evil, right? I mean, in the comic books, Thanos was more of a lunatic, right? He was. I mean, at least in the beginning, he was very smart, but he was like mentally disturbed, right? Like loving Lady Death and stuff like that. So yes, he was very evil, no doubt about that. But again, it's like I said, it's about the build up, right? They build Thanos up. I'm not saying that they did a 1-to-1 copy of the comic book. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they build up Thanos, right? They made him into a big deal. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying if he was like the comic books. That's not my argument. And that doesn't make sense. How is it that they're more respected if there's less of them?
Honest. There's programs for single fathers. There are not a lot of programs directly for single mothers that call out single mothers. There's
What?
There's initiative programs. So I think it's because it's so rare.
I actually had this conversation last night.
What are you talking about? What programs are for single fathers? I gotta check this. Because I don't know where she's getting her idea from. I mean, if there is, I would love to know, right? Okay. Grok, using Grok, right? I'm thanks to Evil Eddie, I've been using Grok more often. There are significantly more programs geared towards single mothers than single fathers. Single mothers make up the vast majority of single parent households. Right? As a result, government assistance, nonprofits, social services are overwhelmingly targeted at single mothers. Like absolutely low IQ. And let's say this, right? The programs that are gender neutral on paper, right? Programs that are gender neutral on paper, like WIC, SNAP, Section 8 housing. Single mothers receive the overwhelming share of benefits because there are far more of them. So even if it's gender neutral, women still get more of it because there's more of them. It's like, what the heck is she talking about? Yo, C Grip, what is up, my brother? Evil Eddie, what is up? Yo, do you check the song that Evil Eddie made for you? That man is on a grind.
It's becoming more the norm now, but it wasn't. So if, say there's a single dad with their kids and they're out of control, and I'm there with my kids and they're out of control, the people are going to their kids, but it wasn't. I actually had this conversation last night. It's becoming more the norm now, but it wasn't.
So it wasn't becoming more of the norm. It's not the same as being more respected in society.
So if, say there's a single dad with their kids and they're out of control, and I'm there with my kids and they're out of control, the people are going to, out of my experience, what I've seen a lot of times, get on me about or make snide remarks or comments and whatnot, because they see a mom that has no dad with them, kids are out of control, you're not parenting her, because they see a dad that way. Do you need help? Oh, that's because of
What? It's like, this is the problem, right? How can you disprove anecdotal experiences? So really, like, great. You're telling me how your life is great, but again, this is the problem with women. This is the problem when women talk, right? This is what I hate. When women talk, they're not logical. They're emotional, because this is how they get bypass logic. They are anecdotal, right? They're anecdotal. So how can I argue against your lived experience? I don't know you, right? So I can't argue against your lived experience. And this is why women talk about personal, right? I don't know how your life is, right? So I can't argue. Big bars, what is up, my brother? What is up? I can't really say anything wrong or right about your life in particular. This is why when men talk, they talk in general. This is why when men talk is more logical, women talk is more emotional. Stupid.
they're not used to seeing that, I guess, but it is becoming more the norm. So that's where I feel like they get more respect. Things like that, little things.
You don't see it very often. A lot of times, in my experience, I've seen where if there's a single dad,
Red Door, do you check out Evil Eddie's new song about you? 2 new songs. Man, he's on fire.
then they end up with a girlfriend or a mother type figure in their lives to, kind of help with it. There's a single dad, then they're getting the extra help, or there's classes and different events for them, like daddy daughter dance. I mean, sometimes you'll hear about mommy and me, but mostly it's the dad thing.
Okay.
This is, I swear to God, women, it's hard. Women can be so annoying to listen to, right? Women can be. I really think women are just absolutely asinine, because what did she says prove that that single fathers are respected more in society? She said that, okay, what if he gets a partner or someone that would help? How's that prove anything, right? And let me disprove this, right? There are popular events, school events, right? Muffins with moms, right? Mother's Day tea, Mother's Day luncheon, mom and me craft night and spa night. It's like Mother's Day program. And here's the thing, right? The clear cut, it will destroy all these arguments. Mother's Day. Mother's Day is more celebrated than Father's Day, period. No argument about that. There is no argument about that, right?
Well, and now it's time to bring up everyone that disagrees. I think that it was all four gentlemen and one lady. But first, I want to get the ladies' take, and then I want to go through the subject at hand.
So, hot take. I don't think single fathers or mothers are respected. I think we're pitied. And I think both of us are in the same situation. And I think every time somebody looks at us and they find out that you're a single parent or you wear that badge or things like that, it actually can go against you, especially like in the corporate world. So
I feel like single dads, we don't get no love shown at all. For one, I've never heard of any programs that are like, oh, if you're a single dad, we got your back. Hell no. If anything, they just look at you like, you better figure it out. You know what I mean? Like Father's Day is not even held with the same significance as Mother's Day at all. And like I said, there was never not one time where they were like, yeah, here's a program for you and your daughter or whatever. None of that. Most of the time, shelters are for mother and kids. You know what I mean? There was times when I was younger where that would have helped me out a lot. If I would have been able to hear about some type of resources like that or whatever. And, it is what it is, though. That's what just comes along with it. But for sure, like, I've never heard of any programs that were for helping single dads with kids. And like I said, for Father's Day, like, it don't even feel like it's the same significance at all. Like, I've never been to a restaurant where they were like, yeah, Father's Day, you get to eat for free. And, like, even the gifts. So, the Father's Day gifts suck.
With me and my kids, I can't go out and get food stamps. I can't go out and get any benefits like that. In fact, I lost 3 kids in the court system, which is a little different, but in the state of Nebraska specifically, is tailored to the mother. And these are based off of laws from the 50s when the soldiers went to war and the government tried to step in to help the mothers and the children. So it's been a battle that I've been fighting for the last at least decade. I'm trying to get my kids back in my life, and it's been tough. So that's why I disagree
as well, piggybacking off of what you said. The court system's a different topic, or
Yeah, we will do that one later in this episode.
are horrible for men. I've been trying to get my daughter for a while, and it's nearly, you got to pay a lawyer, God knows how much. The same thing, Father's Day, nobody really says much about it. Like, you go out to a restaurant, not even the waitress or anybody says Happy Father's Day.
I think in general in society, guys are thought of as like the breadwinner. So when there is a split, I think that they're like the guy, you're just supposed to handle it. Like, you're supposed to do that. And then if you have a single mom, like I have 3 kids, but I think if you have a single mom raising 3 kids, everyone's like empowering her, because they're like, wow, how do you do that by yourself? How do you do that by yourself? And as a dad, I think they're like, you should just do it. Like, put on your boots and get to work and take care of your family. So.
But did anybody hear anything that they said that, just didn't, I don't know, you don't agree with? Or you do,
Hey, I'm happy to give you the resources afterwards, there are fathers resources. There's a whole initiative at Lutheran Family Services for fathers, and I'm happy to give that to you.
I will say too, like piggybacking off of that, I haven't heard of any programs since I've had kids.
Because everybody used to be HB All Moms, like he said, like it stems from the 50s.
Is this like
that's the name,
newer?
but it is for any single parent.
okay, I'm gonna challenge everybody real quick. Okay, so as women, right? Not to make it a gender thing, but we actively go out and search for community. Y'all have it in your heads because regardless of how you were raised, that you have to do this shit on your own. And I have a lot of guy friends that are single dads, and the second I give them a packet of resources, they like, oh my God, why? And they bawl. And it's because you guys don't always reach out for those kind of resources, or you don't go to the right place. And that sucks. And that really sucks.
But here's the thing, right? The problem is that women don't even necessarily do that. Here's a different thing, right? It's it is a community where if you see a single mother struggle as a woman, you would just like what she did, right? She would tell other women, "Oh, these are the programs," right? The men don't. There's not a man that would know these programs to tell you about these said programs. Okay, so I don't think that necessarily that women just lie. I, I don't think that it's necessary that men wouldn't want these programs. It's just not often advertised towards men.
Because you guys should know what your rights are. And like, I feel for you because you should know what your rights are. And I want to let you know that the Nebraska court system has gotten better because of my story. So with that being said, that's a contender here too when it comes to resources. And I do feel like women, we are just supposed to be motherly and we are supposed to know how to be mothers. I have a problem often. I'm a working mom. I do very well for myself. And people comment on how often I work. People comment on how often I do stuff and I should be at home all the time. I shouldn't be working. Well, I'm sorry, I'm a single mom and I don't get support from anyone besides me. How am I supposed to do that? I had to go out and find my village. I had to go dig for resources and it was really hard.
I think just from a young age though, like just growing up, we're taught like just get it together, just do it. So we isolate. I don't go to my buddies and be like, hey, you want to help me with my kids? Like, you want to watch the kids or something so I can go do whatever? Like,
And do you feel like that's a problem?
yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like after you guys like heard that or heard me say that or heard them say some of that about resources that you think that
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we all wish we had resources or knew about the
When I
resources.
was in the court system, they didn't tell me anything about anything for single fathers at all, not one time. Because I would have took advantage of it. If I'm 21, 22 with a kid, why wouldn't I? They didn't tell me nothing.
I think an important part about all this too is what people fail to realize is people trust man and woman before they trust God. And I'll bring that in because I'm a believer. The fact of the matter is women are supposed to live in their feminine and men are supposed to live in their masculine. And when you have that exact replication in a family household, healthy, that's how it works. That is the golden key. Now, when people are like, well, we can't do that. Well, it's not going to work then.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Yeah.
Just show of hands, who's been disrespected for being a single parent? Okay, who's been, gassed up or I don't know, respected for it?
I agree with what you said, pity part in the beginning.
Oh yeah, I do like certain antiques. I do like weapons. The weapons are cool, right? I mean those are like props, but I mean I like weapons, right? I have a samurai sword, so I do love antiques and stuff.
And I also agree with what you said about the communication thing. I feel like guys are more like, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm not going to, that's not a good thing to go talk to another guy about my problems. So I'm just going to stick to what I know.
Like maybe if not getting respectful comments, it might be more pity that like your situation is not like respect for you raising the kids. It's almost pity for like, oh, your situation, they'll let you divorce and now you have to raise the kids by yourself. So it's like, is it respectful or is it you pity my situation?
anybody who's ever commented on me being a single mom, why does my marital status have to be involved? Why can't I just be a great mom? Why can't you just be a great dad? Like, anytime somebody has commented on me being a single parent.
Because I'm sorry, that is a fact that single parenthood, both men and women, right, are the least optimal. Single motherhood is the very least, right? They're at the bottom. They produce the worst outcomes. Now, again, that doesn't mean that 100% single moms produce the worst outcome. No. But again, it's a fact, it's a study that two-parent households produce the best possible outcome for children.
I'm a fabulous mom. Like, sorry, ladies, the best mom.
It doesn't matter. You could be the greatest mom in the world. You don't feel you. This is the problem with women, right? This is their delusion. Yes, you can be the best mom in the world. It don't mean that you feel the spot of what a man would have done, what a good father could have done. I love my mom. I love my mom to death. And she raised me to the best of her capabilities. But I'm going to be 100% honest. She could not fill the hole of what a good father would have done. How I thought, how I felt, how I expressed, how I, go about the world. I didn't figure it out until my late 30s, right? Until my mid to late 30s. Right? If a boy had a good father in his life, he would make less mistakes. He would make less mistakes because he would gain those wisdoms that a good father would instill upon his child, particularly a son. Now, it doesn't mean that a daughter wouldn't benefit. Of course, the daughter would benefit. She will see a great male role model. She will see that, there are good men out there, right? And I know how to spot good men, and I know how to spot bad men because I have an example of a good man. That's the thing. So I'm sorry, you could be the best mom in the world. It doesn't mean shit. I mean, it doesn't mean that, I don't mean it doesn't mean shit, but it doesn't mean that, you still shouldn't be, you don't make up for the hole that a good father would have had. I'm not sure if you will know, but do you know if it's authentic, you gotta take off the. No, I don't have. Yeah, I don't have. I don't have like a authentic samurai sword, right? It's not a authentic samurai sword or anything, right? I don't have any antiques. That I don't, right? I mean, I do have like old toys or old comic books, but besides that, I don't really have antiques like an antique samurai sword. No, I don't. That would cost way too much.
Okay. And that's where that came from, is because anytime your marital status is brought up with it, it is a pity comment.
It's not any different than why does the credit score matter to determine if you're a good person?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with it. It's the way of the world.
Yeah. And it's like
For fathers, for mothers, the situation, I don't agree with the way you get treated. Like, I've seen it. And to be honest with you, when I got divorced, I wasn't the best mom, a single mom right off the bat. But I didn't fight my ex either for custody because I believe there needed to be both of us present. So I feel for men when they're willing to step up to the plate and the women are like, nope. And I think that's crazy.
And I think old school ideology too, with, men having to be the breadwinners and we're prideful, if you will, and then you have the fathers that want to step up versus the men who don't. The men who don't put a bad ideology in people's minds, like, well, if you don't want to do that, we're gonna work this way. And then when the guys step in and say, hey, these are my kids, I'm gonna take responsibility, then it's 10 times harder. The magnitude is just like, it's like rays of sun, man, because you're blinded by it. You can't move forward from it. I mean, you can, but it's difficult.
Well, like my situation, like I love my ex-husband dearly. And it sucks that this had to happen, genuinely. And for our situation, it's convoluted and I will always protect him, but there are situations and stuff where like things had to happen, right? And I think sometimes people only get like one side of the story and they just like don't look at everything. In our situation, there was a huge custody battle. And it wasn't because we both wanted that. We did not want that. I knew we didn't want it, but it had to happen because of mental health stuff. And long story short,
Exactly. And that is why you need a good father, right? To show a daughter, the possibilities.
lots of money later, we are here and neither of us are really happy about the situation, but the court got involved and it had to happen. And it sucks. It really sucks.
To the court system, literally, that's all we have. Okay, but really, there's a space between my hands. Why can't there be something developed first? Let's talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Completely
Well,
different.
they have
Yes.
counseling and they have like split of a home, right? There's always like a progression and they have counseling, they have mental health therapists, they have all sorts of advocacy centers for stuff in between. But the problem is when you have two people who can't see and get on the same page and see eye to eye and start throwing money at things, that's when bad stuff happens. Or
That's a good point.
yeah, or not their money or who works, and sometimes they have high. It just depends.
Hit the casting link, ending up everyone that agrees. No.
Child support system is fair. No one agrees.
We'll start, and I guess now's a good time to bring up everyone that disagrees. Anybody that would like to start on one side or the other?
Child support shouldn't be a thing. Child support in modernity should not be a thing. Red Door, that's pretty cool. You have a few tomahawks. That's pretty cool. Kind of stereotypical, but that's cool. Yeah, child support should not be a thing. It should be automatically 50-50. I'm sorry. It should automatically be 50-50. Right?
I think, with the child support system and the government doing what they do, I feel like it's not fair because it depends on every situation, right? So like if the child goes to the mother, the child goes to the father, there needs to be financial support, right? Going based off of these large amount of calculations and then putting everybody in the same calculation when everybody's situation is different doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's unfair because I've seen people intentionally under earn to avoid making any payments or to avoid paying for insurance. It's kind of disgusting.
And in some states, I think like if you were making a certain amount, they still force that amount, even if you and like obviously there are jobs and things like that there are situations that have where you get fired and stuff, but to kind of prevent that, I have a personal belief about this. Like those are your children, and you should want to do anything that they need, right? So if your child needs something, I think you should do whatever you can to support it. And I wish both sides would always just see it that way, because I think with the child support system, the way it is and how it is now, the only person or people in most cases that get hurt in that situation is a kid.
I feel like we, as a person that receives child support, I mean, the amount that you spend on your kids is way, way more than that. There's people who are wanting to do well for their kids, but then they end up getting taken by somebody that's on the female side or vice versa, or you have men that don't want to take care of their kids, and then it's making it bad for the ones that do, so it's not one side or the other that is the worst. It's both.
I think the financial or the child support system is messed up. My situation is always everybody's situation. So I think probably way different than a lot of yours with my older kids, not my youngest. My older kids got taken, fought for them. I had to pay child support, which for my kids, I will pay child support for my kids. Absolutely, I will. There's a difference between what they need and want, I think, and what, what I mean, their needs, their necessities, whatnot. I'm not going to pay for whoever had them to live a luxury lifestyle with my kids in rags, it looks like. But the court system, my rights away to those children. I got put in jail for non-payment child support. They're not letting me see my kids. They're not my kids anymore. Why would I pay child support? And I sat in jail for a month before they finally realized I'm going to stand on it. I'm not. If you let me see my kids, they're my kids. I will pay the support. So that's where I think our government and whatnot, they let it.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting when a woman experience the hardships that men regularly experience.
Down in child support.
I feel like with child support, like everybody stated, every situation is different. But I feel like they need to do a better job with having like a third party or something oversee each situation and make sure that it's suitable and it's current with whatever the situation is. Because sometimes they could have a rate set at something that might be where that person was making that at that time, but it might be different, or it might be less, where a person out or whatever like that. So that's one of the things where I really do feel like they should have a third party oversee each case to make sure it's
Like, all right, if we're sharing the same amount of time with the kid, and I've dealt with a career under earner or where she's getting paid under the table. So when they look at her financials, they're like, wow, you're making all of this and she's making this. So they're like, well, that's how we're going to pay child support. And I was like, I know for a fact that she's making more than that. But also too, when you're giving them child support, you don't know that any of that money is actually going to child support.
To go off of what you said with the whole modifications, you're kind of like that jerk if you know something's going on and you feel, I wouldn't say you feel guilty, but you somewhat feel guilty that you have to, modify or whatever, and then go through the whole thing again and get lawyers and God only knows what else. So, that's my take up the curriculars, and I don't even know what else medical and who comes up with that.
Okay, I want to bring it back to the spending child support money on not child support. It seemed like you guys had something to say about that.
I feel like a lot of people say, like, they focus on, oh, the mom is, spending a lot of money and that it's not really going to the kid. But I mean, how do you know that? Like, how do you, just because the person is dressing nice or they are able to manage their money a certain way, doesn't mean that it's not going to the kid. And I mean, if you're going to sit there and be like, okay, I bought milk today and I bought this, or it was the rent. I mean, like he said, there's extracurricular activities, and I can tell you.
But here's the thing, right? The difference is that if a man and a woman live in the same household, it will be discussed, right? It will be discussed and it will be determined by both parties. Child support, only the woman determines what to use it for. It's not discussed. And it's his child, right? It's his child. So why isn't this matter being discussed between the both of you? Why is it you determine where the money goes?
For a fact that the extracurricular activities that my kids had, the child support didn't even cover that.
Yeah, in my personal case, I not only pay child support, but she doesn't help with any extracurriculars, so I pay for that too. So when we went to court, they're like, all right, you guys get 50-50 custody, and then they're like, for any extracurriculars, they're like, just figure it out. So the court doesn't do anything about it. They just say, that's your guys' issue, you figure it out, and.
Child support doesn't cover
For those
extracurriculars.
people watching, what is an extracurricular?
Sports, dance,
sports, dance,
karate.
yeah, anything that the kid wants to do that is not a necessity. So child support covers the necessities of what the child needs. But I mean, when you say need, I think extracurricular is a need because it teaches.
It's not. It's not a need. It's 100% not a need. It's a benefit. It's not a need.
The kid responsibilities and teamwork and all of the things that are encompassed in that. But if you know,
Kids can learn that in other ways. This is the problem, right? At the end of the day, if you were in a household together, you both would determine it. You both have a say in it, right? When you're living separate households, she's the one who has a say in it.
you're looking at, oh well,
Yes, and I agree, right? It should cover basics. It should cover the basics for the child. That's child support. If you want extra, this is the thing where if you want extra, activity, if you made that choice, you have to bear that burden, in my opinion.
okay, I'm just going to pay for the rent or the, the food and clothing, stuff like that. Well, the extracurricular is outside of that, and it's
I'm not gonna say, no, you can't dance because mom doesn't wanna help out. I'm like, I'm gonna pay for it. I'm gonna figure out a way to do it.
yeah. In my case, when I wanted to put the kids in, well, that if you want to do that, you pay for it. I'm not paying for it.
And what really sucks about a lot of society too, is back in the day, we did fundraisers, we did car washes, we did all that to pay for our own stuff as kids, and that's what's wrong with kids.
We're talking $3,000 for a kid to play baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
At like
insane.
minimum.
Yeah.
Like,
But I'm very fortunate. I'm 50-50 also, and we're good there. But I think of when my parents got divorced, my mom's job was to raise the kids. And when dad left and child support got smashed in half when his job changed, mom she was already working, but she had to go think about, do I need to go get a college education now because I can't afford to help my kiddos? So it shouldn't come to that.
And I don't get child support. So like everything is 100% on my shoulders. I get something from the government because of our situation, but it's doesn't cover anything. And I've had this argued to me because like I don't really buy anything new for me, but I own a business. And so I have really nice things in my business because it needs to run smoothly. And I've been called out on that. Like, oh, that's clothes. And that's just my son. We're not even talking about my high maintenance daughter that wants to get her nails done. I do make the kid like who they are. And that's a problem.
part of my argument stems from just because we weren't married when we had my daughter. So we were living together still for a while, and I still had to pay her child support because the court said, if you guys aren't married, then we're still gonna make you pay child support. So I saw what she was spending money on.
Wow.
So in that case, I saw what she was spending money on.
Question, who would be down for if you receive child support, you must report everything you spend that money on?
I have to.
Hey, I don't know. I'm not in, so I don't know. Is that a thing? Is that a thing? I didn't know that.
I think it depends on your mediation or what you have set in your things, like.
My ex-husband and I, we write down expenses and show receipts, and then we like reconcile them once a month. And sometimes I've spent a little bit more, and so the next month he subtracts that out of what he owes, and vice versa. And for us, it works.
Yeah, I think accountability is the number one thing that has to happen for both sides.
Yeah.
Because your story is very valid, and I wish more people were like you, because I pay child support, and I like to see where the money's going, because I can't see what the void is. So if there's extracurricular and I'm paying $600 a month for one child, okay, there's no answer. It's all just mystery. So being able to see that, be accountable, and do that, accountability is huge.
So in my situation, I get SSI, and because I get SSI, it has to be like they send out a form. Is it perfect? No, but they send out a form and they ask you like exactly what you spend money on. And like in our agreement, I love my ex-husband dearly, and I love the fact that he does try when he can, and we never really argue about when the kids need something or when something is just kind of a conversation. But I know with his particular situation and my particular situation, like I'm financially more capable than he is, and so it's important that he's doing or what I'm doing. That's my business and that's his business. And I think
I've been fortunate enough to be blessed to be able to have a great co-parenting relationship with my daughter's mom. And it didn't start out that way. When we were younger, we wasn't able to be on the same page for a while, but but I always, make sure that I did my responsibilities as a father, regardless if me and her were together or not. Even when she started seeing some other dude, I still stood on business and took care and paid for all my kids' stuff. And at one point, pretty much had a real conversation with her, and I was just like, yo, just our daughters will be, and we'll do better off working together than we are with the money and all that.
And I feel like when people split up for whatever reason, they feel like they have to be enemies, like you were saying, but they don't have to. you know, and it should be about the kid and their well-being. I can tell you, I've never been asked, hey, you know, how much is dance? Do you need help with that? You know, can I help pay for the costumes or the monthly payment or anything? It's just been, you get child support. That's it, you know? So I do feel like accountability could be a good thing, but I also feel like transparency, if people could communicate and stay civil with each other, then it would be okay to talk and be like, hey, you know, this is what I'm paying for.
And at the end of the day, you want to keep the court system out of everything as much as possible because they're just going to complicate stuff.
And if you don't, you just got to some point be like, all right, well, I'm already knowing that this person ain't gonna get along with me, and you just got to move on. Like, you know what I mean?
The other part of it is even if you do have the court involved, it costs more money to go back to court to get somebody on contempt.
Is it unanimously agreed upon that if both people are able to cooperate, which I don't know how likely or unlikely that is, but is that the move to keep the court out of it?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
We agreed to end this one. Kids raised by single parents are at a disadvantage. We'll start by bringing up everyone that agrees now.
Going off this point earlier, I think when you have a household that has the masculine energy and the feminine energy, when you have that together, the whole household is more cohesive. And I think when you split that, it's hard for a dad to make up for the feminine energy, and I think it's hard for the women to make up for the masculine energy. So I absolutely think it's a disadvantage. Now we're all going at this as single parents. So once you find someone that brings that energy back, yeah, the household, I think it picks up and the kids are better off. But while you're single and doing that, absolutely a disadvantage.
I think it's also a disadvantage. Obviously, the kids didn't ask for the situation they're in. And I know from being in the situation myself as a child and also being the parent, the single parent, I personally didn't like having two separate households, not seeing my biological mom for most of my life. And then at the same time, I dislike that my girls have to go back and forth, like when summer break happens and everybody's like, oh yeah, what are you going to do this summer? It's like, oh, I have to leave, like they didn't get that free time with their friends or their activities or whatever. They had to leave. They couldn't have a summer job or make that extra money. There's just other aspects of it that I feel are a disadvantage. I originally wanted to say no, they're not a disadvantage, but there are some.
I originally wanted to say no too, but there are some. And I mean, even for me, coming from a divorced household in a small town, it was stigmatized. Like we were looked upon as the kids that had no dad. And it sucked. And so I don't think it's as prevalent now, but it's still there. My kids definitely recognize when, oh yeah, their mom and dad, they bring that up all the time. And it's like, yeah, sorry.
I also feel like kids that are in single parent households have to deal with adult situations sooner. Because oftentimes parents are unable to realize that, oh, that's an adult conversation. You should not bring your child into that conversation. So then they're kind of brought in the middle of it. And I grew up in a household where my parents have been together for like 65 years. Okay. And so this was all new to me. And everybody that I talked to about living like that, they're like, that was the one thing that was most annoying, was when my parents would involve me in that situation. And I've thought about that like every day of my life. Like, we have to make sure that this does not happen. We have to make sure that adult issues stay adult issues and kid issues stay kid issues. And when the time is right to explain things, if they're asking questions, it is at an age appropriate level. Because I know that Rosie and Rory are going to have to deal with those big issues. And I feel like that's a disadvantage.
That's just pretty much based upon you as a parent, period, regardless if you're together with the other person or not. If you're going to allow your kid to be in adult, conversations and stuff like that. For me, it's important to have both parents in the household because for myself, if I would have had my father around growing up being my brother, we wouldn't start a gangbang or any of that. Because my dad would have been like, hey, you need to be a leader, stop being a follower, do your own thing. And on top of like, I can't teach my daughter how to be a woman, there's just certain things I can't, or even have those type of conversations with her about it. But, on the other hand, I can teach her how a man's supposed to treat her, and that goes a long way too, because what she accepts and doesn't accept is going to be based upon when she saw her dad and how I interacted with her mom. And regardless of how much her mom pissed me off or would say shit to get under my skin, I never allowed her to see me overreact or ever threaten her mom or ever put my hands on her, ever. Because I don't want her to think that's cool for a man to ever do that to her, because regardless of however mad you get at a person, you should never put your hands on them, especially if you love that person. And like I said, there's a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to show her. And, for the most part, her mom.
You never heard of the 9-ring guy, the Mandarin? In the comic books, he was a Iron Man villain, right? It's not like the same 9 rings. It's an actual literal, Shang-Chi. Or even Doomsday. You never heard of Doomsday? But I never heard of him or accidentally paid attention. You never heard of the death of Superman? Right? If you heard of the death of Superman from the comic books, that was a big event. Doomsday was the character that first killed Superman, I believe.
You can't have those conversations with her on like how a man's supposed to treat you, and if the person really cares about you and all those different things too. So it's definitely very, very important to have both parents in the household, and I think everybody in it realizes that.
So you're listening, everybody. It just kind of fuels the fire for me with this. The concept of having the masculine and feminine energy, and each person living in that, right? That is so crucial. It's been proven time and time again.
A lot of cases, and you have the kids that are affected by it. You know, everybody is affected by it. The thing I hated was when divorce happened for me, I was looked at like I was the bad guy for, you know, well, why aren't you staying? Can't you make it work? Like, I hate to see a broken home. I hate to be in a broken home. What do you mean? You know, like I didn't want this to happen. And, you know, things happen in life, but it's what you do with it and how you show up for the kids.
I joke with my kids that my number one job is to make sure they don't have to spend millions of dollars in therapy when they're an adult. Because the same wasn't reciprocated. I mean, my parents they've been divorced for over 30 years and they can't sit in the same room.
Wow.
So that was an example to me that if I ever got divorced, I'm not going to be this way because 30 years later, I still get tense when they're both in the same room.
Well, in my case, I felt like I was different when it came to being the divorcing wife. Like I wanted to try to make sure everything was as 50-50 as possible. Like the lawyer was like, wait, are you sure you want to give that much time? Are you sure you want it? I'm like, yes, he's just as much as I am. Like I wanted him to be present and have all of the things, but it was like taken advantage of, should I say.
It's not that I agree or disagree with anything honestly said, so it makes it hard for me to be on one side or the other. I have experience, like my parents, I went through the divorce thing. I was in the system as a kid. My rights were given up as a kid for $1,000 in a condemned house. My grandparents finally got me out of the system. They were amazing. They were like the 50th housewife, the husband. My grandma died unexpectedly at 13. My grandpa did raise his kids, but he was working on the road constantly. He supported them. He was only home here and there. He got stuck with me. I got stuck with him. They were together and happy and in love though. But so I've seen all situations. So that's why I haven't said anything. So when she died unexpectedly, we just looked at each other after the funeral stuff, and he's like, "Well, kid," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a 13-year-old girl. I haven't, I have 10 brothers. They're from other places. It's just my grandpa and I." And it's like, I need a tampon, okay? He literally thought it was firecrackers that he needed because they called them firecrackers, okay?
No, it was not a kryptonite bullet. No, it was Doomsday who beat the shit out of. It was Doomsday who beat the shit out of Superman and killed him. Yeah, Doomsday was the one who killed Superman, right? And that was then was subsequently the introduction of Superboy, Steel, right? The black Superman, right? So yeah.
That's what it was like, but it was amazing. He unexpectedly passed away soon. So a lot of it I was on my own, like on the other foot. Like I grew up very different. On the weekends, I would go where I was supposed to go with one of my other parents because they never took that choice away from me. If I wanted to be in my parents' life, if they wanted to be in my life, but they had me dealing drugs. I didn't touch drugs. I was 21, but they had me dealing them. They had me in that lifestyle. I go back to my grandparents, my grandpa. I was a straight A student. I had a scholarship in basketball.
The court system is biased against fathers. We'll start by bringing up everyone that agrees now.
No doubt.
Oh, okay. Obviously, every case is different, but in my scenario, I got divorced in New York, and in New York laws, if the mother doesn't want joint custody, the father's no luck. So basically, I had to fight to even get some sort of visitation, some sort of anything, and basically my daughter or most.
I would say this, right? I think all courts throughout America, automatically it should always be 50-50. It should be always 50-50. You have to fight if you want full custody, right? You have to prove why you should be getting full custody. It should always be automatically 50-50.
People's, kids will graduate college at 22, but the law is 21 in New York to pay child support. My exact lawyer's words were, if my ex-wife wasn't I would agree to 22, but the law is the law.
For example, early on, like my daughter's mom was able to get a protection order that was based on like meritless actions. Like there was no evidence of me doing any of the shit she was talking about, and they just gave it to her. And when I was like, well, I'm gonna get a protection.
Yeah, I'm a bigger Marvel fan. I know more about Marvel. I collect obviously more Marvel than DC. Now, it's not like I don't love. Yo, Artie, what is up, my brother? What is up? It's not like I don't collect some DC. I like DC, right? I love Batman and I love the Green Lantern, right? But Superman is okay, and that's pretty much it, right? I don't really care much for DC comic books. I'm a big Marvel head.
And they didn't give me none of my stuff or whatever at all, and I was just like, okay. And I just thought that was just kind of tasteless to be able to just get something that had no evidence behind it, because anybody can just come up with.
And I will say this, right? Why should you have to fight to be a father? Women don't have to fight to be a mother. Yet it's only men who are expected or put in the situation where they must fight to be a father, right? Men must fight to be a father. And let's be honest, to fight, you have to pay for it, right? You have to have the money to pay. You have to have the mental fortitude to go through the hardship, to fight for your own child. Women don't have to fight to be a mother, right? They're automatically deemed a mother. They automatically have the rights to be a mother, right? They automatically deem that, you know what, the children will go to you. You will have primary custody or whatever. Women don't have to fight to be a mother in general, or majority of the cases. Yeah, I'm a big Green Lantern fan, right? I'm not saying I'm a big Green Lantern fan. I do like Green Lantern, right? I love modern day Green Lantern, right? When they introduced the multiple colors, I thought it was a cool thing. But yeah, I'm a big Marvel fan. I mean, obviously, pretty much everything is going to be Marvel, right? The only thing that I like about DC is that DC is older, right? So DC is more history, right? So if you like comic books, particularly superhero comic books, DC is, superhero history.
Anything to say, whatever.
Based off my situation, there was a scenario where I chose to put a protection order in. It got denied, but I did it for the right reason. It wasn't to be hateful or spiteful. It was because there was, psychological abuse going on. It didn't always have to be physical. And with that being said, when I was trying to get approved, the judge denied it. And the very next day, my ex was able to go in and get approved right away. I was like, man, what the heck's going on? Because I'm like, I'm getting damaged too. And I realized that there has to be a victim and a villain. And I'm not sure how this correlates. There's gonna be a lot of opinions about it, but I was trying to play me. I was trying to play victim or villain. I was trying to say, hey, I'm getting stuff happen to me, like help protect me. And I couldn't get that protection.
Yeah, so in my situation, we had our falling out. My girlfriend at the time moved out, and she was doing her drinking thing and going out all the time. And I had my daughter for like 4 months straight, full custody. She didn't ask to see her at all. She was just out doing her own thing. Well, I received a thing in the mail one day that she filed for full custody. So we go to court, and I'm like, I've had her for 4 months straight. And the judge, we had all this evidence and stuff. He literally opened up the folder that my lawyer handed him, shut it, set it down, and goes, 50-50 custody. And you guys figure like the extracurriculars out. He goes, here's child support, 50-50 custody. He was like, done. Didn't even, yeah. Like, and I think Nebraska has notoriously been known as like a mother first state, but
Okay, I'm curious to hear why you guys think it's biasing.
And 50-50 custody, and you still have to pay child support? What the fuck is that? 50-50 custody, and you still got to pay child support. Absolutely idiotic.
Kind of on the fence with it. I do agree from talking to many friends of mine that are men that have dealt with it, that they've gone through many situations where they feel that it's for the woman. My case is different, however, as I was speaking earlier offline, that I moved here from another state, and bringing my decree from another state to Nebraska, I would not say that Nebraska is for women. And just an example, something simple as, living in a different state and having to fly the kids back and forth. I wanted to take it to where instead of us meeting halfway, which would have been Oklahoma City, that we just pay half and half, like half of the flight for the two kids. And the court system did not go for it. They had me paying for both flights for them.
What? How's that? You're the one who moved, right? You're the one who moved. How? It's like, again, I mean, there's for women and there's just absolute like absurd biases. You moved, right? You chose to uproot your kids, take them away from the father, right? You chose it. For whatever reason, you chose it. To say that the courts didn't cater to you, so it's not for women, it's absolutely idiotic. That is stupid as shit. I mean, like, come on. Like, you chose to move.
To see their father. So I've heard many situations where it's normal for one parent to pay half and the other parent pay half. But in my case, I was paying the full flight for two kids there and back 2 to 3 times a year. And, that to me is not fair.
I used to work in the child and family services system, and I saw men get completely hosed, completely taken advantage of. Shoot, there's even something on the news recently, entertainment news, in the last week. They canceled The Bachelorette because of a domestic situation involving a child. And they have her on camera hurting the man, yet she came out, and the child, yet she came out and said, I'm speaking for women that are usually silenced. I was offended as a woman. Like, you're not speaking for me. A man isn't always the villain. And the courts, for some reason, make it that way. I think it's a very archaic way that the court works nowadays.
They don't really take domestic violence the opposite way as serious, because like I had stuff in my records. I was like, she bit me. I was like, I had scratch marks, paw marks. And they were just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, let's be honest, it's Taylor Frankie Paul. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, she still. I mean, yeah, she did hit her daughter in the head with the bar stool, and she also did get 95,000 likes on her last Instagram post yesterday. So, and that's just me stating fact,
Mhm.
not saying that
That
in any
is
way.
correct,
It's
yeah.
just what happened. So now I think that's a great time to bring up everyone that disagrees. So, which of you would like to start?
I think it depends upon what judge you get. I have helped women over.
No fucking duh. Depends what judge you get. That's not the argument, right? It's balance of probability, right? It's what's most likely.
250 women write protection orders for domestic violence situations and still have serious, adequate reasons as to why their husband should not be anywhere near the children, and they still get 50-50 custody. So my argument is not that it's biased towards men. I think it's biased.
250 is what? I'm sorry. It's like this is the problem with a lot of women where they think very small, right? I said this in the beginning. This is how women go about certain arguments, right? They make it personal, right? They make it personal, so you can't necessarily counteract personal. You can't. That's her life. So yeah, okay, yeah, I agree. That's your life, but that's not in the grand scheme of things, right? That's not the larger picture, right? That's the thing. That's not the larger picture. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Was 50-50. I think we're moving to a day and age where they immediately want to do 50-50 and they want to remove the court system from the decisions, and that they're pushing it more towards that direction. So we're seeing more and more custody battles and things like that where it's just 50-50. And I don't know if any of you have ever been in a domestic violence situation before, but when that happens, like they remove you in most states. It's different state by state, case by case, all of that. And even in custody battles and things like that, because you guys multiple of you talk about like protection orders and things like that. But they have to remove one of you. If the police show up or whatever, but then the police say, oh, that's not my problem. That's something that you do in family court. You have to go to the courthouse, do all that nonsense. But what I will tell you is that in situations where women really, really needed that because that person had more money, I firmly believe that if you have the more money, you're going to win your custody battle. It depends upon how much you spend on your lawyer, what you do, all of that situation. That's what actually matters. I don't really think there's a bias. I think it's more along the lines of it sucks because if you don't have a pocketbook for it, you're going to lose. And
so here's the latest data on child custody in the U.S. As of 2024 to 2025. Mothers get primary custody in roughly 75 to 80% of cases. Fathers get primary custody in about 12 to 20% of cases. 50-50 custody, shared custody, is about roughly 25 to 40% of cases overall. So, yeah. Big Bars, what is up, my brother? What is up?
So, what you, man? How you doing today?
I'm chilling. How you been?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Any
This
thoughts so
child
far?
support- Yeah, this child support issue is tough to me because
Mm,
I think child support should not exist, really. I think
100%.
women should grow up and keep the government out of their business. That's what I
Exactly.
think personally. But it's not that I don't want to pay into my children. Look, to my children, didn't even know I paid child support at all. Didn't even know I
For
paid
real.
child support. Woman was completely taking credit for everything I was, all the money I was spending.
That is exactly right. This is the thing where I had to deal with this too when I was with my baby mom, where I paid for the daycare, I paid for a lot of expenses, and no one talked about that. No one cared about it, right? And honestly, constantly asking for more money, right? So your contribution is always belittled, yet it's forced on you. You have no say in your contribution.
Yes, and you have consequences, and they don't,
Mm.
because those women who didn't even tell me. My son was like 14 when he found out. I don't even think my daughter knows at all.
Mm.
And it's crazy. It should be consequence for that. If you're getting money from somebody and you don't tell the child that, yeah, this is from your father, you know what I'm saying? It should be consequences for it. I'm sorry, I just feel that way, and a lot of people feel like, well, the mother can't send the mother to jail. I'm sorry, they got grandmothers, they got fathers, and half of these fathers, and half of these fathers like care and would do whatever for the would move
Yep.
would get another job for their children.
Yep. Yep.
How many women would do that? Would get another job for their children? I think
I
that's the
agree.
question need to be asked.
I
You
agree.
know, and I just think it's messed up that you take money from one person to give to another person when you could just give the children to that person. I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
don't
why I'm a big supporter of like 50-50. When I have my child, I'm everything is taken care of. I don't need to ask for anything. When you have our child, everything should be taken care of. Why would you be asking me for anything? I
Right.
agree 100%.
So something we haven't touched topic on with everything is, okay, fathers, mothers, custody. I don't think they're biased towards dads. I understand what you guys are saying with the bias towards dads. It used to be that way, like in the 50s and things like that. Nebraska's actually more of a father state now. It really is. But
Bias against dads.
yeah, well, here, how about fighting the courts, period, for your kids? Where are you biased there? They're biased against everybody because I'm dealing with it. I've dealt with it and I'm dealing with it.
They're not fair. They're not for the people. They're against everything. They want to fight, take their people apart because it's happened and it keeps on happening.
I would hate to be a judge. I would hate to be in that situation because I feel like it's hard to make a decision of what needs to be done based off of what you're seeing right in front of you. I mean, because anything can be construed however a person wants it to be displayed. I mean, I can be made to look crazy and they can be made to look like they're a great person. And so the decision, I think, is hard for a judge. But with that being said, I do believe that just because of the nature of people, there's a lot of bad people on both sides. And so with people making bad decisions or, not so great decisions, it makes it hard to, have a one for all for everything.
And the other thing that is like so frustrating, and it's so frustrating when you're sitting in the courtroom and you're like watching it, not an attorney or anything like that, I'm just really care about people, is when you have an attorney that might be greener and they have like hardcore evidence of something and the attorney doesn't put it in properly. Which just happened to me, by the way. And then you're screwed. Like you have everything that you like. In my situation, I had everything that was in the place that at the time was best for the kids. Do I think what's best for my kids now is different? Absolutely, because time has passed and things have gotten better. But at the time, like things were really bad, right? And because I had a green attorney, basically the way that they admitted some of my evidence, it got just thrown out and they didn't look at it. And so basically, that judge didn't get to see that evidence because it wasn't put in properly. And I'm not the only person that this has happened to. And so when it comes to family issues and stuff like this, like I'm a firm believer that the court should have absolutely nothing to do with it. But the problem is when y'all can't get along, right? Who do we go to? We go to the courts. And because marriage and things like that and custody is a legal thing now, like it's up to them. And it's very complicated, but I personally don't think there's biases. I think a judge can have a bias. I think if you get a judge, right, in those situations and you look at how they've ruled in the past, which if you have a really good attorney, they will tell you exactly what they have done in the past. So you know whether or not there's going to be a bias.
See, me and all my homie situations were biases, and we all take care of our kids. We all, what I'm saying, we're doing all right financially, and she did all right financially too, but it was still biased as hell. Like she got to choose when I get to see my kid and everything. They didn't even give me my input on like, hey, what day works for you? No, I was just like, whatever she said, like, they gave her the chance to be like, hey, I want him to be able to see his kid this day and that day or whatever like that. They didn't give a fuck about what my agenda was or what I had to do.
Did you have an attorney?
Hell yeah, I had an attorney. I dropped like 5-10 racks on an attorney. They didn't give a fuck about that. They just cared about what the mom wanted to do.
Your attorney, did he push?
Yeah, they don't care. Like it was all they cared about was what they automatically assumed me was a bad guy. Like everything was my fault because I'm the dad. That's what they assume. What did he do now? You know what I mean? Like that's what they
I just
assume.
want your opinion. Obviously, every state is different, but in New York, if the mother doesn't want joint custody, the father's out of luck.
Don't matter if you're a millionaire or a billionaire.
Or
Here.
basically, my lawyer said, be prepared to spend a crap load of money or take it as it is. So, I mean, obviously, you have your opinion. I'm, respectful of that, but I would love to know your opinion on that aspect.
Well, like I only know about Nebraska.
We should look
Like,
it up. We should look up the statistical number on like which cases are favored more in the mother and the father for Nebraska.
I always thought it was like common knowledge that the women always get the children. Is that not a true thing?
Back in the day, because that's old time, that's how.
How old
That's old time. That's how. I'm not that old. Okay.
No, I know you're not referencing you. I just mean
But,
like,
I mean, just like he was saying, like back in the 50s, like, back then, and I use that example for my grandparents, 50s style house, like, because that's how it went. Mothers are mothers. They're supposed to be the mothers. Men are men. They're supposed to be masculine. That's originally how it all goes.
But it should be that today.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that's where everybody's thinking that.
I would never say that right because there's men that don't take care of the kids that
Yeah.
and I don't think I would
There are
decide to
women
do.
that don't take care of their kids, though, even if they have their kids.
I was also going to say, I know that people talk a lot about domestic violence, which of course is bad, but I feel like there isn't enough emphasis on the mental health part of it because you have a lot of people that are dealing with narcissism or, any other type of mental health or personality disorders. And it's, like I said earlier, it's easy to play a part for a short amount of time in front of a judge.
I worked in that system and I saw men not even be given the opportunity, not even be given the chance to get their kid.
I mean, I had cases where women were gone and the men were like, I'm here, I want to do this. And they weren't even allowed to.
They're biased against everybody.
One of my like really, really good friends, like very checkered past, you know, so is his baby mama, right? But she ended up in prison. Well, she got out of prison, okay? And now she's able to fight for custody for the kid and stuff like that in those situations. And in that situation, he just got a really bad judge because the judge that he had was one of the judges that knew him from his priors, right? But he has since gotten sober, changed his life, done everything possible. So like, I personally believe that it's not necessarily a gender bias from a father to mother, where it's just the court is just effed up and nobody wants to do anything about it, or they want to do something about it, but because it's so convoluted, it's like the foster care system, because it's so convoluted and already messed up.
Well, like we talked about earlier, though, it's like it's a lottery pool. It's like, what judge am I going to get?
Right.
Am I going to get a judge that sides with fathers, or am I going to get a judge that just says 50-50, or you get a weekend and every other Wednesday or something?
I genuinely feel that if you can afford like a $800 an hour attorney that's killer, like you'll win every time.
So it's like over your children. Well,
Yes. Yes.
I would say from personal experience, like having more money than the mom, they were like, I've had lawyers be like, you know, we can drag this out until she has no more money if you want. I was like, no, I want to move on with my life. I don't want to drag it through the court system. But that is.
I know that
That's so dirty. That's the thing where it's like that's so dirty. And this I can guarantee you, right? Women that has lawyers like that, they would do that, right? And that is why must we fight for our kids? Shit like that is so dirty. And I agree with judges will be biased, right? And it's a crapshoot. You don't know what kind of judge you'll get. You get a judge that would I had my ex threaten me, right? Say that I better do what she wants, or I better go, do what she says, because if I take her to court, she said she will win, right? Because the court will be biased and she's able to drag it out and make it hard for me. It's like I was scared. So there was not much I could do and again, she destroyed me financially, right? So I had no money to fight for anything. So it was a terrible time.
You can check on this. But I think it's correct that the retirement fund, the pension that the judges get, a certain percentage of the child support comes from that. So they're benefit from putting men on for all this money on child support.
Yeah, that is true. I've heard that.
And then we talking about the lawyer thing, which is a dirty pool. Half of these women don't even have to pay for that.
No, yeah.
Half of these women don't even have to pay for it.
Yeah, I think sometimes they will charge you the court costs.
Yes. Yes.
That's absolutely disgusting. It really is.
Like I say, if these women really love their children, you think they would keep people out of their business, because you might be mad at him and then women are so 50-50. They so up and down. They'll hate you on Monday and be wanting to crawl into bed with you on Wednesday. It's crazy. That's the truth of the matter. So keep them out of your business. Stop talking to your friends, because my mom told me about this girl who her son's father was doing everything, doing all this stuff for her, spending all this money, spending all the time with the child, doing all this stuff for her. And she was talking to this group of friends, and they talking, well, why don't you put him on child support, XYZ? And then my mom had to tell her, do you know how much you're getting? You go and you put him on child support, you're just going to get that. And I have no problem with that. Me personally, I have no problem with that. If you have a man that's working with you and you put him on child support and say you getting $1,000 a month, if you only get $3, that's all I got to pay. That's it.
I've heard that happen a few times. I've heard that. And that's what you get for being greedy.
Yep.
100%. I agree.
tons, men, I've seen it, because they even did it to my ex-husband, who's never had a record, he's never had anything. And I remember my son was a toddler and he had a birthmark right near his behind, and they changed his diaper and they were like, is that a bruise? Did daddy spank you? And he was like, yeah, daddy spanked. You could barely speak. And CPS got called. I got interviewed. And the first thing I said was, that's a birthmark. And they had to go to his doctor's records. Look, yep, it's a birthmark. They wanted to just throw the book at swatting a kid's behind over a birthmark.
But because that was at like daycare? That was at school. That was at school.
Mhm.
Do you think that, just throwing it out there, do you think, because, you know, teachers are reporters,
We
right?
all are.
Right. Do you think that if you were just a single mom and dad wasn't involved, that they would have come after you? Because I think they would have come after you.
I don't think so. I think they would have looked at it as a birthmark because it didn't even look like a bruise. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I think the reason why it can't necessarily be fixed is because there's so many different situations. Every single situation is different. Obviously, in a perfect world, if you had a couple that is cordial with each other, that everything would be okay. Let's just do it this way. Everything is fine. But since you have all of the different things, that some that you can show up and prove, some that you can't, you know, a judge might be not feeling 100% that day, you know, might have their mind some half out the door because of something else that they have going on in their personal life. I mean, there's so many different variables that go into it that, you know, and then of course you have them trying to make a formula to make it, you know, cover most bases when it doesn't.
Sure. I went out on a date and the girl asked me, in a hypothetical, if we got serious and both of us were drowning, who would you save first?
Oh, your kid or her?
A date asked me that. It was at a rooftop bar. I put down like $100 bills and I said, if I could, I would save both of you and sacrifice myself and walk away.
Oh my gosh.
You're dating the devil.
Yeah, probably. It was the first date too.
Yeah.
It was the first date.
Yeah, sure.
Do you guys feel like, okay, so like as a woman, right? Okay. I'm young. I'm 30. Okay. That is young. No matter what my 5-year-old says. Okay. I'm not old. Do you guys feel like you guys get a lot of pressure to not date because you have kids? Or do you feel like you have people in your life that are supportive? Because I feel like in my life, if I would ever tell my parents that I'm dating anybody or trying to do that or on a dating app or any of that kind of stuff, that I would get ostracized. Now, my village of like homies that I have, they'll be like, oh, go, you know, we'll watch your kids, like go, we're gonna, you know, chillax. But do you guys feel you have that pressure? Because I feel like as a woman and being a single mom, I feel like they want me to be a stay-at-home mom. They also want me to work and they want me to find a partner, but I can't actually go out and find a partner because I'm taking time away from my children.
I feel like I keep it very personal, like any type of connection, until I find a baddie, and then I just let the whole world know. But that's that may not be like the most mature way. Okay, I'm just coming off real things that have happened in my life. So now that I'm older and going to be 35 in June, like things are way different for me now. So it's not about the clout aspect; it's about my life, and I have to take it more serious. So there's 2 points to that.
Yeah, I don't feel any pressure there, but like I had 1 kid last time I was single and now I have 3. And I'm like, jumping back into the dating world, I'm like, it's different because you have my kids every other week. So I'm like, hey, I'll date you more every other week than I can. We're gonna go on a lot of dates every other week, but on my kid weeks, I was like, I value that time so much that I'm like, I can't give you that much time. And then most of the girls I tend to talk to have kids as well. So I'm like, you down for the Brady Bunch or what? Like, like I was like, that's where I'm at in life. So,
and I think like a lot of the pressure, it would be like self-pressure, you know what I mean, in a way, when it comes to that, because it'd be like kind of up to you, like if you feel like you want to get back out there in the dating world, or you might not even have time, you might feel exhausted after working and dealing with kids, like, man, I don't even have the mind capacity to even want to get to know somebody right now, or I can't even, like for me, at times it get hard to be kind of consistent, you know what I mean, like, because I'll talk to somebody, but then like just so much going on to where it'd be hard for me to like initiate conversation all the time like I want to.
I feel like you have to have like a set, like kind of sort of be fair to the other person. Like you have to have a set schedule with the other partner. You know what I mean? 'Cause when it keeps changing, that changes your relationship too. Like when you're so used to one thing and then it's another, and then 1 week it's this, and then the next week it's that. That's not fair.
well, and then there's this like societal pressure of like, how long are you going to talk to this person or date this person when you do start dating before you introduce the kids? And then you have your baby mom like, oh, you're going to introduce the kids to yours. Like, I didn't even say that. I was like, we just started talking like a month ago. Like, I'm not rushing anything. It feels like you are, but that's the thing too. It's like, how long do I wait? Like,
I feel like you guys get more stigma about it. I feel you. I do, because I know for me, my mom did not like that I was dating. Whereas other people were okay. And she didn't like I was dating until I found somebody that she liked, and then it was acceptable.
But you didn't like that.
No, I did. But yes, I know what you mean. But I feel like I feel like us as women kind of look at them and go, so you have kids? Oh, you have kids. Whereas women, we're kind of expected to have kids. So I feel like you get kind of a check mark against you.
I think it's an age thing too. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, if I'm talking to a 31-year-old, she's like, oh, of course you have kids. If I'm talking to a 25-year-old, she's like, I'm not gonna be number one.
She's like, okay, grandpa.
Anyway, she called me Unc and I had to leave the date.
I've had so many people be like, oh, I didn't realize you had kids. Okay,
There's open talking. Let's look for something else.
I don't think that last question they asked is true. Men take care, are financially responsible. Just like I hate a woman saying what a man should do. I hate it. I hate it. It's like my pet peeve. A real man, or that's stupidity. That's stupidity they've been allowed to get away with for years, too long. But I think men are the payers, so it's kind of different. It looks different. Women, everybody looks at it differently because they know if things go to crap, that man will be paying for his mistake. And it's also funny to me that women, if you notice, that women are the only ones that say, because I was young, because I was young. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. Because when I was young, I wasn't that stupid.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I mean, I didn't do that much stupid things when I was young, right? And at the end of the day, I think we know if we're doing something stupid or not. It's just that this is a thing where I hated that we give too much credit to kids, right? Well, they don't know what they're doing. Yes, they do. Kids know what they're doing. The problem is, it's not that kids don't know what they're doing; is that they don't care what they're doing, right? Kids don't care what they're doing. That's the issue, right? It's not that kids don't know if they're doing something bad or good. Kids know. They just don't care. That is the problem, right? They don't care what they're doing. So,
True.
all right. I wanted to check this one out, right? I don't know if you want to stay with this one. This is a video, right? Talking about transgender. So, I always I, here's my thing, right? I've always been against it, right? I think it's I, I think we are propping up mentally
Yes.
disturbed people, right? So
Yes.
so I've always been vocal about it
Yes.
because when I was young, right, if you are mentally disturbed, if you believe you're a woman, well, guess what? In the mental asylum you will go, right?
Yeah, they got a place for you.
Yes, they got a place for you. Nowadays, we are literally electing these people as our governors, senators, mayors, and shit like that. It's like, are you seriously? Are you serious? Right? These people had filled our mental asylums, and now we are letting these people lead us.
Yes.
Absolutely idiotic. So, again, you can live I've said this, right? You want to live your life how you ever want to in your home, in your life, go for it. The problem is, why, when such a group that's so small, why are they everywhere? Right? They're in
So,
every single media we have, TV, movie, shows, so much on social media, so much on ads, so much everything. I said that you see more transgender people than you see Asian people in all this media. Right?
yes.
That blows my mind. Right? There's more transgender representation than there's Asian representation. That
Yes.
is absolutely insane. And why are we propping up the worst of our societies? I'm sorry. These people are mentally ill, so they're part of the worst of our society. So,
Yeah.
yes, I talk about it sometimes. What are your thoughts on the transgender community?
I agree with you. It's a mental illness thing. It's a delusion thing. You're delusional
Mm,
because I know plenty of gay men, but guess what? They're still men. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I
Mhm.
respect. I respect. Whatever. If you
Yeah.
are what you are, you know what
Yeah.
I'm
Live your
saying?
life, but get out of my life. Right? Get out. Like, why am I seeing so much of it? That's the thing.
Because they're trying to promote it. Propaganda. It's
Mhm.
propaganda.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
exactly.
control you.
You know what? I'm sorry, right? I'm gonna be honest. The whole transgender thing, and I'm gonna be maybe a little bit controversial, along with the gay thing. It's trying to weaken men, right? I believe this is maybe conspiracy theory. These are ways to weaken men, right? I think it's feminism. I think it's feminism, where women are pushing the gay men, trans men, when honestly, women don't care about men. Women don't give a
Mm-mm.
shit about men, but all of a sudden they care so much about men, right? These weak ass men, because they want to promote the weaker men to now, I don't know, take over society, push actual men to push actual real men, down, and real men can't argue against it because, oh, if you argue you're transphobic, you're hateful, you're bigoted, all this shit, right? So men are now feeling bad if they're hating on people or whatever. So yeah, I think it's feminist tactics to try to attack men.
I agree. But I think that the problem with men is that men need to not care about that. You know what I'm saying? Need to not care about what somebody else say. Hey,
That's true.
you know what's in your heart. This is my grandma used to tell me that all the time. You know what's in your heart, so why you reacting to what somebody else say? Why you even care what they say? You know how you are. You know you're not no racist. You know you're not this. You know you're not that. So why do you even care what somebody else got to say about it? And really, I think more men need this. Men in general kind of make me upset because we're allowing too much. We're
I
allowing
agree.
too much.
I agree.
We're
I
allowing too
agree.
much, man.
Wow.
We gotta cut it off at the pass, man. It's too much.
Yep.
Enough is enough, and we need to stop it. And if unless these women are going ice roads trucking, then they need to shut up. I'm sorry. People can feel how they want to about it, but having these transgenders ain't gonna do nothing but probably suck up tax money.
Yeah.
These people ain't doing nothing to better. Like I said, I have a problem with the people who supposedly are supposed to be guiding us. They are leading us into the abyss, I feel, and it's all over money. And I think the other side needs to see it. They're benefiting from it though. Like I just told you that my baby mother was sitting there pocketing my child support checks.
Mm.
Not even telling my child that I pay into them in any manner. That's crazy.
I agree.
There should be consequences.
I agree. I think it's any way for. I think it's just another technique so women can gain power, right? I mean, of course, women's going to gain power over gay men and trans men. They can't gain power over actual men because actual men ain't going to allow that shit. But you know, because now men are being pushed down, men are being overruled and stuff like that. Men are, I don't know, scared to speak up. This is why I create this channel. We're going to speak up on there, right? We are going to say our opinions. We're going to voice our thoughts. So, but let's see if this is good or not.
I think that's more of a creative thing, like because Nick's a heavy creator when it comes to writing and whatnot. I know that when it comes to just being a content creator, sometimes when you're by yourself and
mics have a certain sensitivity to them. We do.
You're dead. You're dead. You're mess out stuff.
I'm working on it. Wait, how should I refer to? So you're both Nick, right?
I mean,
you just say Nick.
No one ever differentiates.
Okay.
They talk to us. They just say Nick, and we both kind of look over.
Okay. Times. I mean,
Self-debate.
it's just well, not self-debate, but it's like there's this. I have a certain Roddy Piper sort of like stream of consciousness thought that just like I'll just start talking, and I'll go 45 minutes if I'm just have nothing else to do and there's nothing by myself. So I became my own best friend. So
there you go. There you go. Yeah, I like that description. Look at you. I need you to adjust that mic because it looks weird when it's that far. Yeah, there we go. Are you happy with that? Hey man, we've got to make sure that it's coherent. But are we rolling?
Oh, his light's back there. I'm sitting there like,
it's
too long of a word.
Yeah, it's just Kelly X.
Yeah,
got it. Okay, Kelly X, and we're gonna get on the road, and it's gonna be a very, very, I would say, interesting. I like how Michael is approaching this, and I like the conversations that we're already having. So let's ability to come here, the ability to come here and be glorified in everything we do and say. And not LIVE, LIVVaudio.com. Put in code NRP. Came out. It's beyond sight. Get that one to purchase, and if you purchase it from us, then be pretty good. I met Kelly on TikTok. Actually, I met both of you on TikTok.
I think so.
Yeah. I came into your DMs because you were doing a response video to Sam Shamoon's emails to you.
Yeah.
And then Kelly came into my DMs. Let's just go to that real quick to give some context. Okay. Let's see. Kelly, this is the first message that I received from Kelly. And I'll let you defend everything that you say. Okay. So this is not something I'm just trying to put out there.
It's up to you.
Yeah. Or support, whatever you want to do. But the first message that Kelly sent me was, "You are a racist." And I said, simple enough, because I've learned not to give diatribes of responses.
You caught his attention.
Yeah, you caught my attention. I said, explain. And then you said, you hate the Indians that are living in North Texas. You also wanted to verbally attack a person praying on the street. For context, me and Nick saw someone Muslim praying in the street that we've never seen in Grapevine before. This is the first time we saw it in Grapevines. We recorded it. We responded to it. Not a lot of people like that. And then the second message you got to me was, I wonder what other bigoted garbage you support. Bet you hate all the trans people walking in society too. My response, I don't. And I had to say this way because of TikTok, because they'll even flag you in your DMs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, I don't H word.
Which is insane. Right? I've had this where TikTok will flag your DM. TikTok knows your DMs, right? So if you're saying something, they will mark your DMs for saying something crazy. So I thought I was like, this this is the thing where I know it, right? None of these apps is actually freedom of speech, right? I already know it because I've told you guys this before, how YouTube has striked me a few times because of the content I make or the things I've said. So YouTube has, sadly, right, it's their platform. So, you have to, be, I guess, just put in line. So it's a sad thing, but you do what you gotta do because of the man, right? So, but crazy.
I just think it's I don't understand how they can strike me or you for saying what we say, but these women go on with full on kill men hate speech.
Yeah.
And there's nothing's done. It's okay. It is, that's how you know something wrong. That's how you know if you got half a brain, you know something ain't right. Because they'll strike me for saying a random word, one word wrong. They'll mute my thing on TikTok or whatever. And these women go on with full blown hate speeches, man. Hate speeches. All men should be aborted. All kind of crazy stuff.
Yes,
all kind of crazy stuff, and that's okay, and that can go through. But me saying that if a woman's not acting right, maybe you need to release her to the street. That's a problem.
Yes. Totally.
Anyone. And the reason why I do that is because I just don't want to give them any kind of reason to even come into our DMs and flag us for anything.
Which I've never heard it referred to that way before, ever in my life.
Like I literally
H-word.
said, I don't H word.
H-word.
Like I spelled it out, H word.
There are certain keywords you have to learn to use.
You really do. You
on
really do.
TikTok.
Like
We're changing the language here.
And so I said, I'm against the theology that Islam is. If you do some research, you wouldn't like it either. I have nothing against Indians as long as they come over here the right way and assimilate. But thanks for assuming before you actually talk to me. No, I actually love them, but I don't condone their sin. That was referring to the transgender. And then you said assimilate in quotations. You mean act in a way that makes you comfortable. And I said, no, assimilate to American culture, not try to change American culture to their culture. And we continue to go on. This whole debate started or came together because Kelly said, show me in the Bible, and I'm not reading it word for word, but if I get it wrong, you can correct me. Show me in the Bible where it says transgender or being transgender is a sin.
My specific question to anybody who is Christian is, show me chapter and verse where it literally says it.
Okay.
And the only thing I get out of people is Deuteronomy. When people come to me, they point to Deuteronomy 22:5.
Sure.
Which the way I read it and the way that I've read it based on this book called Queer and Christian by Brendan Robinson, who's a theologian, went to Bible school, preacher.
Brendan Robinson.
Hold the book up on the other hand.
Here's my thing, right? I'm not a Christian, so I talk about it not through religion. I talk about it through common sense, right? Again, you can be weird, go for it, right? You can be abnormal, go for it. My problem is don't be weird, don't be abnormal in front of me or near me. And this is the problem with the transgender community or the LGBT whatever community. They need to show off. I've said this before. Why are they more represented in all our media than Asian people are? They're a smaller population, or they're not bigger than the Asian population yet. You see more transgenders or gays or lesbian alphabet community than you see of Asian community. I'm not asking for Asian community to be represented, but it's like it doesn't make sense. They're a small part of the population. Yet why am I constantly seeing them? Why do I need to constantly see someone gay in like a big again, you can make a small indie movie, go for it. But a big popular movie that has people that's gay, that has people trans, like seriously, you are stuffing things down our throats, right? I'm sorry. It is your choice to be abnormal, and it's fine. You want to be abnormal, go for it. The problem is, why do you need to push your abnormality in front of my face, right? I'm not pushing my ideals in front of your face. And let's be honest, right? If you think, let's say a man and woman kissing, and that's pushing in your face, that's normal, right? That is when that's 90% of the population, you're gonna have to fucking deal with it. I've said this about fat people that complain, oh my god, why isn't airplane seats bigger? Are you stupid? The airplane seats are made for most people. You aren't most people, so the world shouldn't conform to you. You need to conform to the world. And if you don't want to conform to the world, guess what? Don't fucking complain. Live your own life. Do your own thing. But then you can
Blah.
the problem with the alphabet community is that they need to complain about the world because the world doesn't conform to them. And that is my problem, right? I don't give a shit how you want to live your life. But I find your insanity, your mental illness, in my opinion, disgusting and irritating.
My problem is with 13 year, children 13 years old are transitioning. I have a
Yeah.
problem with that.
Oh, definitely.
So how can I can't get a tattoo until I'm like 18, but you got 13-year-olds switching their gender?
Yep.
That's crazy. I have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe the children are our future. You know what I'm saying? And you can't allow them to be under attack like that. I don't care whose butt you're trying to kiss. That's wrong. If you want to do that, you wait till you're 18 and then you wait till you're 20 and then you do that. I'm sorry, you deal with it. You deal with being a female in the male's body until you're 18. And then you do whatever you want to, just like everything else. That's how it is with you drinking alcohol. You 21, you drink alcohol. Like I said, you can't get a tattoo, which is permanent, but you can get your sex organs really. That's crazy.
Mutilated.
You can get mutilated at 13, 14. That's crazy. Something wrong with that.
I
And
agree.
anybody who supports it is mentally ill. Anybody who supports it is a get what we call a get where you go along to get along. You do whatever. And that's it.
I agree.
Oh, sorry. So if that's the Brandon Robinson I'm thinking of, I want to make it clear because everybody watching here. Orthodox, not Orthodox like Eastern Orthodox in its most semantic usage, right? The traditional Christian people views reject Brandon Robinson, not because of that specific reason. He is an extremely what we call progressive pastor, and so I've invited him to have a discussion, and he blocked me online, which is really upsetting because it's like you should be able to have a discussion. So you're talking about who I think you're talking about. Yeah, he does not represent Christianity as far as where the Orthodox Christianity would stand. Just want to throw it out there for people listening to know.
But
how we view it.
So that what you said in the DMs is why we brought this whole thing together. I kept coming back to you saying, "How about you come on the pod and we talk about it?" I have the answer for you, and then I asked Michael to come on to be the
counterbalance.
I like that counterbalance. I was going to say the opposition, but I like counterbalance better because it's less adversarial. Adversarial, that's the word. Antagonistic. It was all the A's.
Yes.
So we're gonna basically.
And you know what? This is funny too, right? I've gotten so many hate online, right, on my TikTok. So many people. I said, okay, bring it. Like I make tonight, right? Every Wednesday, I have a call-in show. Bring it. Not a single one ever, right, accepts an actual debate, right? Not a single, and so many. I get so many hate. You think I'm racist? Come on, like let's have a debate. Let's talk about it. You think I'm sexist? Come on, let's have a debate. Come on. But almost every time I talk to these people who they say so much online, right? They say so much online, they don't have the guts to let's actually talk about it. Let's actually see if your viewpoints have any basis to it, right? If your viewpoints are actually good. Let's see if your viewpoints are logical or not. They don't. And I've said this. I make this particular night. This is the night. If you disagree with me, bring it on. Right? Bring it on. If you have a disagreement, if you have an opposing opinion, you can talk to me. You can say it, right? And you can test my logic because and I've said this. I'm respectful. You don't have to have a camera on. Just have a mic, right? But no one has the guts to debate me yet.
That's one thing I respect about you, like the most, is that you're willing to stand on your square. You stand on your square. So anybody who got anything to say, you stand on your square. I said what I said, and I think that's part of the problem. And they just did it on this. They're doing it on this podcast. If you disagree, see, there's no such thing as disagreeing in these podcasts. That's why these podcasts ain't worth a D to me. You know what I'm saying? Because you never stand on your square. If you disagree with something, you disagree with it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's worried about clicks and views. Everybody, just like that song, you do anything for clout. They do anything for clout. and that's my problem, because if somebody comes saying something that I disagree with on one of my platforms, I got all the smoke for them. I got all the smoke for them, and it ain't gonna be nice. It ain't gonna be no nice talk. It's not.
Oh, and I love it, right? I love that you are posting clips of when you're on. I love it. I support that, right? You guys, if you guys ever come on, you have the free you have the free will. I mean, you have the my total support to cut it up and put out. If you're on it, if you want to support, have your voice heard, right? Definitely go for it. Big supporter of it.
I apologize. I didn't even ask you about it. I was
No,
just doing it.
bro. I love it. You don't need to apologize. I love it. Right. Definitely. That is why I love it. That I think that just like you and me, I created this segment because I want my brothers to have voices. Right. I want my brothers to be able to express their opinions, because I think before I created this YouTube channel, I thought that men did not have voices. Right? In general, average men. Now I'm talking about high value men. I'm not talking about rich men. I'm not talking about alpha men, shit like that. No, I'm talking about average men. Not enough average men had voices, right? No one listened to them. No one gave them a platform to be heard, right? So I wanted to create this platform so average men can have a chance to voice their opinions, right? Because a lot of times we suffer, right? We go home by ourselves, no one to talk to, no one to, we have no outlet for our emotions, for our opinions. So I created this because my brothers, I want our brothers to be able to have an outlet for their opinions, for their thoughts, for their feelings. Because again, we're human. Why is it only women that are allowed to voice their opinions, to let go of their emotion stuff? We're humans, right? Society put too much strain on men. We should be also allowed and have a platform and have a space to voice our thoughts and opinions. And so I'm a big supporter of that.
Until I started telling the truth, the truth, until I started stating my opinion, I was just I just got divorced, or I was separated at the time, headed to divorce, and I felt like I was just gonna kill over, man. I felt like I was gonna kill over until I started saying what I knew to be true, and people being like, "We rocking with you," and I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody said. Women fall for attention and validation, but men need it too.
Yes.
Sorry, we do. We, even if it's as small as, you're not crazy for thinking the way you think. You're not crazy. Even if it's just that, you're not crazy.
Exactly. I mean, this is a thing where I'm a big supporter on men being stoic, but like I'm not a bigger supporter in men being emotionless 24/7. Right? I'm not. This is the thing where society thinks men are not human. Right? Men can cry. I mean, I don't think you should cry all the time, but men can
Especially
cry.
not funny on a woman.
yes, totally agree. Men can be angry. Men can be sad. Men can be. It's like men can express their emotions. Men can, and I wanted to create this where you should be able to express your thoughts and feelings, at least in a logical or a respectful way. So I'm a big supporter of that.
You guys discussed that, where it says, or what does the Bible say about being transgender, or does the Bible say being transgender is a sin? Because that was a question that you wanted to answer.
Yes.
Okay. And Michael is going to tackle this. Nick and I will probably interject, but very barely. We're going to let Michael handle this. Okay, because this is technically a formal debate. So yeah, it's kind of a formal debate between you guys. If this doesn't go long, we'll ask some other questions to let you guys debate. So, and they will be basically politically rooted, but he'll defend it the best he knows how to defend it, just like we will do yours.
Right.
Okay. So the question here is, does the Bible say being transgender is a sin? We're gonna let both of you have what we call a statement, and then we will get into the debate. So since you are the guest, or the newest guest,
okay,
you will go ahead and go with your statement and give your arguments, and then we'll let him rebuttal, and then we'll let you guys go ahead.
All right. So I'll pull up my Bible, and first of all, I'll point to 19:12, which I'm sure, Michael, you'll probably think that I'm pulling out Matthew 19:12 and say Michael 19:12, where it talks about accepting the eunuchs.
Mm-hmm.
I point to Matthew 25:40. What you do the least to me, you do to me.
Mm-hmm.
I point, the other one's escaping me here, but Galatians 3:28.
For those that are in Christ Jesus, there's no longer female, nor male, nor slave.
Yes, there you go. I mean, I can point to those three off the top off basically because I bookmark them in my Bible. I can also point to the original story of Adam and Eve that's in the Bible. If we take the theory that's in the Bible that God created man and woman, that Eve is created of Adam, in a oddly elongated theory, we could argue that Eve is transgender just based on the fact that she was a man or of a man, have a man's rib and came of man. We can also make some sort of argument if we believe in the Bible saying that we are all made in the image of God. Now, I'm not going to take the James Tallarico theory of non-binaryism, but I would take the theory that God is neither man nor woman, because if one says that God is in the image of everybody and then says, well, he's a he, how can he be of the image of a woman if God is a he?
Mhm.
So that's my opening statement, and that's what I wanted to get off my chest in terms of that.
Awesome.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
So I may have to ask you to remind me of some of the things you're saying, because I'm trying to just,
Okay.
because you threw a lot out there, but I actually just want to start by first of all saying, I appreciate you being here to have this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
You're stepping into let's just be honest, these guys are right wing, right?
Oh, we're
And
100%.
you already demonstrated your feelings in the podcast, in the DMs, and then you're being told you're coming to have this debate with me. And so that takes courage to just walk in here, right? Like, I'm not going to be jumped basically verbally and beat down. So I appreciate that. And I just want to let you know I love you and I thank you for being here. And in fact, I told these guys, even though they're calling it a formal debate, I didn't do any prep. I didn't bring anything with me. My goal is to have a conversation because I'm a street preacher by trade. Like, my original thing I did was have these live, active, like the first time I'm thinking about it is you bring it up.
Okay.
And so that's how I want to approach this. And so with some of your points that you made, specifically, just want to touch on those verses you mentioned first with the eunuch conversation with Matthew 18. When Jesus speaks of a eunuch, I would like to ask you, are you saying that you believe a eunuch is comparable to today's modern view of transgenders?
Yes, I do, because if you look at the scripture the way it's written,
That's stupid. A eunuch throughout history is not a man that believes he's a woman. I'm sorry, it's a man that's either, lost his his manhood, right? It's not because he did it through willful surgery, right? That's not this is a problem with this man's a lot of his things, right? Even if let's say hypothetically he said Eve was rib with built made from Adam's rib. She doesn't believe she's a man, right? That's the thing. It's not. It's the mindset, right? This is why I said these people are mentally disturbed. I'm not talking about if they cut off that's kind of mental disturbed stuff, but it's still the mentality, right? A man has long hair, so what? A man that paints his nail, even though I think that's like weak shit, but fine, whatever, right? A man that dresses like a woman, whatever, right? Even when me and you were growing up, we had cross dressers, we had
Cross-dressers.
yeah,
Mhm.
but in reality, they still don't believe that they're women. They just they're just weirdos that want to dress like women, right? But now we've gone beyond that, where literally these men think they're women. These men think that they should have the same, I don't know, rights or environments or beliefs that women that comes with women. I literally see videos of transgender women saying, "Oh, I have a period." Are you fucking stupid?
Are you
Right?
serious?
And that's the problem. Yes. And that's the problem, right? That's the shit. And that's the thing where, they also say, you know what? I'm more of a woman than women, right? I literally did a video a while back of a trans woman saying that, you know what? Trans women are the archetype of women. What the fuck are you talking about?
What you talking about?
Yes.
Anything to prove your point. Anything to prove your point. Going to the Adam and Eve thing. They say that it's nothing new under the sun. So if it's nothing new under the sun, why wouldn't the rib be stem cell research, DNA? You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't it be that? And you can manipulate just like they do today. You can have engineered babies now to the sex and everything. They put in the chromosomes, take them out, whatever. They can do that. So I think that's a little disingenuous. And then also the whole point of them saying, well, in the Bible, tell me where in the Bible it says that. Well, they didn't have that problem in the Bible because guess what? Them people got stoned quickly. Honestly, that's the honest truth. It might be rough, but that's the truth. Them people who were mentally ill got just like 300. Remember all them babies that got thrown off a cliff. That's what will happen to these people in the olden days, they would have got thrown off a cliff and left in the bones of 1,000 babies. That's what happened to them.
Yeah.
Think you a woman if you want to, and you're a man. Because we were trying to build society then. So we didn't have no time for no man that thinks they're a woman.
Yeah.
See, these are all modern day problems.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Yeah, this is the thing. Why I've said this before, right? This is why we are so free from problems that we are making up problems because we're so free. We're not fighting wars. We're not fighting real depressions. We're not. There's no real problems happening in a society. Okay, so this is why the mentally disturbed, women, and the alphabet community are trying to make problems.
Well, they took a page out of feminist a playbook. They want power and control. They understand if we hit this pedal real hard and we get control over certain things, we win.
Yeah, I agree.
Became eunuchs by choice. And the idea of a eunuch is one who physically changes their genitalia.
Yes.
I know. Can I say that word?
Oh, yeah,
here?
no, you're good.
Okay.
Oh, no, okay, just for a preface, go ahead, let loose.
Okay.
I can edit it afterwards.
Okay, I just
We're not live.
We'll put a beep there.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
we. I said will like it's mine.
All good, man.
I mean, we take the modern version of it because if we take what is believed that the word homosexual first came in 1947, that's where it first appeared in the Bible because of some word that got translated in some way, which I have the word here. And arson
milkoi.
Yeah, that's the word. That started in 1947.
Well, I would to stay on topic, but just to touch on that, the word homosexual is also fairly new itself, and so like, of course, it wouldn't exist in the Bible before the very word itself exists, as far as in the English language.
Right. But I'm just saying that the way the Bible has been translated, the modernization of wording, we can take, at least in my view, you can take certain versions, certain ideals, and kind of make them parables of the modern world, which is how I was taught in Sunday school, and we take the parables of stories. I mean, I don't think any of us, we're all adults. I don't think any of us believed that there was a flood that flooded the world and Noah got 2 of every animal on a ship.
I do believe that.
I absolutely believe that. Yeah.
I don't because I believe in logic in the sense that how can you get 2 of every animal on a ship? I mean, that's not here nor there, but I'm babbling.
So one more question, just because I want to answer these questions and approach them properly. So that helps me understand your point there. So one more question to clarify before we go in. When we say transgender, when I hear that word, I am speaking about someone who is not just confused about gender, but is making the active decision to embrace the gender that they feel they are, whether that is going forward with surgery or presenting themselves. Is that how you're using the word transgender?
Yeah, as somebody who actively, not only comes to the conclusion that they are trans, but makes the conscious effort. We used to call those people transsexuals way back, maybe 5 years ago. They used to be referred to as transsexuals because they made the active transitioning of their outward sexual.
Okay. And so for that very reason, for you explain it that way, then yeah, I would have to say I would disagree that that's what Jesus is speaking of with eunuchs just historically, because a eunuch, if we ask ourselves why did they castrate themselves, or why were they castrated if it wasn't done by themselves, it wasn't for the reason of feeling that they're any other gender. In fact, eunuchs were always males, and they were males prior and males after. And so the act of castration was to take the focus of man away from sexuality. And so, for example, if you were to castrate one of us, we do it to our dogs, don't we? And to a sense, it lessens their testosterone. It actually makes them more submissive, and it takes away, let's be honest, takes away a focus that men have struggled with, because men are very easily distracted by women and do the dumbest things in the world for women. And so to be castrated, for the purpose of the king castrating his servants, is to therefore make them so they are dedicated to what they're doing. A man who self-castrates in the biblical sense isn't actually castrating, but he's making a vow off women. And so even the eunuch language, it can't be compared to modern day transgenders, because these weren't men who felt that they were in the wrong body or felt they were females, and they didn't do this to present themselves as females. They remained males. And so I wouldn't say that we can ever correlate Matthew 18 with the idea that it is therefore condoning transgenderism.
Right. So in Matthew 19, and Brandon makes that very clear, that there is nothing in the Bible specifically that talks about transgender, which is the heart of my question. There's nothing in this book that literally says, and this is
but that also defeats your argument. It is a new thing. It is a new concept. There have always been gay men, right? But in my opinion, there's never been, or at least in known context, right? In known texts, men thinking that they're women, right? Now, again, gay men, yes, but men that think and believe they're women, that's a new modern day insanity, right? Or at least by in such huge numbers, it's a modern day insanity. So it shows you how abnormal that is. You are unstable. You are mentally unstable people, right? You are mentally unstable people. because now you're creating something different, something new in essence.
It makes me mad when them people try to make a book says what they wanted to say.
Yeah,
It doesn't say that, and if you have any, that's why I say history is so important.
Yeah.
If you have any context on history, you will understand it. That wasn't even really a thing, and those people kept their mouths closed. See, the fact that people can just say it. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. Can say that now is a testament that is modern day problems. You know what I'm saying? Because back in the day, if you said that, you wouldn't make it. You wouldn't be here. Because like I said, we was in building mode, and we have no time for your mental illness.
Yes. Exactly. People had problems, right? They had actual problems back then. So to think that, to think about the whole I'm a woman shit, it's like it's a stupid modern day shit.
No penicillin, no. Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Nick, in the Bible, where does it literally say being transgender is a sin? I said chapter and verse. Where does it literally say it? And that's always been my question. When we started this, and I said Deuteronomy is always what I'm pointed to.
Yes.
Which was an edict to the Israelites when going to take over the pagan land.
Well, if you want to jump straight to that.
No,
question,
I'm just saying that that's the way that is. That's why that's there in Deuteronomy, but it doesn't really address the idea or being transgender. That's why everybody who argues with me always says Deuteronomy. So that's why I'm trying to get to some degree where does it literally say in this book?
Okay, so if you want to jump straight to that, I was just because you brought up those three passages,
Right.
And so I feel like it was my responsibility to at least address those with Matthew 25. What you do to the least of these, that sounds like more so we shouldn't be mistreating transgenders, to which I would agree we shouldn't be, and so I would agree with that verse as well. And Galatians 3, that in Christ there is neither male nor female, free nor slave. That is not about that gender doesn't exist, but more so in the sense that in Christ all are equal in value, and that there's no separation whether it's male, female, free, slave, Gentile, or Jew. But we can jump straight into that question that you had. Where does the Bible say transgender?
That's the heart of my question. Where does it say it in this book literally that being transgender is a sin? I mean, that's all I'm asking for is chapter and verse in the book.
Okay, and so I want to present this in a way that sounds like it's fair and charitable. A lot of people will do this where they say, show me chapter and verse, but you said you grew up Christian, so would you at least acknowledge that the way Christians approach the Bible is not as if the entire Bible is a book of Proverbs and every verse is written in a command statement? And what I mean by that is most Christians, when we say, I do this because of the Bible, it doesn't mean we're saying every single thing we say is laid out, do not do, right? The Bible doesn't say take a shower every day, but I clean myself every day, right? But there's biblical principles and biblical truths. And so I would ask you, do you believe that the Bible declares that God is creator of all and he designed all of mankind?
I will grant you that in the sense that yes, the Bible says that God created everything.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to affirm that you believe it. That's what I was asking you.
Wait, you're asking me to say I affirm that I believe that?
No, I'm saying that you don't have to say believe it. But I'm saying if we're talking about the Bible,
Yes.
does the Bible teach that God is creator of all things?
Yes, I will grant you that the Bible says that.
Okay. And so God is the creator of all things and designs all things. Would you grant that by definition, a God who creates all things has the right to determine how those things should exist?
I think no, because I think that in my view, God, the creator, gave us all free will to exist as we see fit. And therefore he presents everything. See, I don't think things are inherently evil. I don't think anything is inherently evil. I think the usage of it can be evil. Like
there are things that are inherently evil,
Yes.
right? How about like R-wording a child? R-wording period is inherently evil. That is evil. Absolutely ridiculous that you don't think that there's nothing that's inherently evil, right? I mean, I think murder is evil, but I mean, you could murder in a good way, but still, you're still taking away your life regardless, right? But there are cases of self-defense, killing evil people. You're still killing, right? So it is inherently evil, but you can do it in a way that negates or helps mitigate that evil. So there's plenty of things in this world that are inherently evil.
Plenty. These are my thoughts and opinions, but you mess with my child, we're gonna see what's happening. We're gonna see what's cracking. For real. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I feel.
100%.
I don't think sex is evil. I think sex with animals is evil. I'm sorry, I interject a little humor, but I'm just saying.
But why? That's not a gotcha moment.
It's a consent thing. It's like an animal doesn't have the sense to consent to, I lived in Washington State. We all, when we live in Washington State, we know the Mr. Hand story. The guy who, got penetrated by a horse and died.
Well, it sounds like the horse consented there. It's not like the man didn't consent.
No.
Yo, I mean, come on. I mean, like,
Oh man.
it literally just disproved you, right? Seems like the animal consent there, right? Yo, that
Yeah.
was no, that's wrong, right? A lot of
Crazy.
plenty of things are inherently evil. I'm sorry, right? Plenty of things are inherently evil. The act of maybe the act of sex itself isn't inherently evil, but I think there's plenty of things that are inherently evil.
Yeah, I do. I think so.
Yeah, but I do agree that yes, we all have the capacity to do good and evil.
Yes.
Again, see, this is sometimes we think evil is a terrible thing. Yeah, it's a terrible thing, but this is the thing where I'm a realist, right? I'm a realist. I'm a humanist. Evil is part of human, right? Human beings have done atrocious things, while we also have done amazing things. So it is in all of us. So I'm not condemning necessary evil. I'm saying that it's humans, right? We it's just human nature. We have the capability to do anything, bad or good, whatever. So yes, we are. This is the thing where I think inherent is not necessarily synonymous to just one thing, right? We can be inherently evil. We can be inherently good, right? But it's listen, this is the thing. It's the danger of free will, right? That's the danger of it. The danger of free will, you don't know what a human being can do, right? Because we can do a magnitude of things.
Yeah, I think it's intent is, just like they say in the law today, intent. You know what I'm saying? It makes a difference because if I just walk out my door and I unalive somebody, that's evil. But if somebody's trying to come into my house and I unalive them, that's good. You protected your family. So really, come on, man. We're splitting hairs here. You know what I'm saying? That's what I feel.
I agree.
You come from my son.
Yeah.
Sorry. Come from my son, man. Come from my son, my daughter, man. It's gonna get real fast.
I mean,
and I don't care about any evil. I don't care what anybody got to say about it. I don't care who likes it or doesn't like it. You mess with mine, and I'm gonna take from yours.
I agree, and that's the thing, right? We can. That's the power, or that's the danger of free will, right? I think killing is inherently evil because you're taking away another human life. But, well, guess what? We all have the capability of doing evil, and in our situation, right, depending on the situation, well, we see it's a necessary evil, right? Sometimes people call it a necessary evil. Just like you were saying, right? If someone endangers my kids, well, I'm going to do this necessary evil and take away your motherfucking life. That's just how it is.
That's it.
So, yeah.
And go home and make a sandwich, man.
I get
Animals that are not us, that they don't have the sense to consent. It's just like we don't let children consent to having sex. We don't have sex, with 12-year-olds. That's a crime because children can't consent. That's where I'm coming from. I only ask.
I talk about this, right? This is the thing where it may be controversial. Children can consent. Children are not allowed to consent, right? Children can say yes or no. Children have had, because this is the thing where this is the stupidity of a lot of humans. If a child can have sex with another child, like a 13-year-old have sex with a 13-year-old, what? So should we both put these two kids in jail because they're not allowed to consent to sex, right? No, they're allowed to consent to sex. They're just not legally allowed to do it, right? And in certain situations, let's just be honest, right? This is the laws we do. We don't allow children to have consent. That's the laws, right? It doesn't mean that they can't consent. And I'm pretty sure a horse effing you in the ass means that it consents to having sex with you.
It's crazy.
What's that question? You stated you don't think anything's evil, but you don't believe that Bible. And so I'm just trying to figure out where your standard of morality is, like what makes something good or evil if you don't find it in God. And that kind of brings me back to where I was going with my questions.
if that Bible, whether you believe it or not, portrays a God who created all things, and that Bible portrays a God who has the right to design and decree how man should exist, then that becomes the standard. Would you agree that even if you don't agree, even if you don't believe it, would you agree that the Bible presents a God who creates the standard of mankind?
For those that believe,
Yes.
yes, I would say yes. God creates the standard for in a way to say do this, don't do that. I guess you could see because there are verses in the Bible. I don't know anybody who hasn't seen the West Wing clip of. I don't know if you've ever watched that clip. The clip of President Bartlett is meeting with the press during a
Yes.
race. You've seen that
Yes, I
clip. That was the parody of I think what Dr. Laura or Dr. Laura I believe was Laura Ingraham. It was the parody of that because somebody sent something to her show saying if homosexuality is evil, then wearing clothes made of two different, fabrics and planting two different seeds in your garden and you should be stoned for working on Sunday and you can't touch pigskin.
Yes, I'm familiar with the
Okay.
clip. It's. I'll be honest. That clip is written by someone who's anti-Christian, and they present it in a very well way. But I would highly.
I definitely agree, right? I definitely agree that children do have a hard time to grasp the entirety of consequences. I 100% agree. But here's the thing, right? Consequences, being able to grasp consequences isn't necessarily a requirement for consent, right? Consent is usually power dynamics, right? I believe, right? Oh, and I gotta say, Evil Eddie, I'm using Grok exclusively, so that's what I love by Grok. So this is why I started hating debates. It's no longer about exchanging ideas. It's about beating opponents with semantics. I can understand that. I
Yeah,
can
I
understand
agree.
that.
Agree with that clip because the reason we're against certain sins isn't just because of Levitical laws, but he is correct. If we're going to use Levitical laws, then we have to ask, do we keep all the Levitical laws? But I wouldn't argue that homosexuality is a sin or transgenderism is a sin based on Levitical laws. I would go back to Genesis where God does create mankind. He ordains mankind as man and woman, that they are to be brought together as husband and wife. And throughout all of Scripture, this is affirmed over and over again. And so even to get to your question about, where does the Bible say transgenderism is a sin? Well, the first question is what is sin? Sin is to rebel against your creator and go against his commands or his decrees. And so if God makes man and woman and decrees that man shall leave his family and cleave to his wife and the two shall become one flesh, to rebel against that structure, whether you believe it or not, I would ask, would you affirm that if God has created marriage a certain way, would you agree that at least is grounds to say that's God's right to determine how man and women should exist?
Okay, I'm going to. You might think I am the worst person
No,
on earth
you're
for saying
fine.
this, so forgive me for what I'm about to say because it might offend somebody. Look, to me, the only idea of why things like homosexuality and being transgender are considered sins, homosexuality specifically in the Bible, because it's in here a couple of times, at least it's in theory, it's in here a couple of times, is because, in my belief, the Bible, that idea of being quiverful in the Bible was written at a time where society was very sparsely populated, and that if everybody became gay and everybody decided, I don't want to have kids because let's be realistic about the way the world was. We didn't have modern medicine. There was, because in the Bible it even says, Paul Krause, I saw this in a clip, Paul Krause, who goes back to the old days of TBN, said God looks at people with gray hair more godly or more righteously than those that aren't. And I believe that's only in the Bible because the fact that people didn't regularly make it to 50, 60, 70 years old in the days of the Bible. So my thought on quiverfulness or being one with a woman and having children is only there because we wanted to make sure society kept going, because if everyone became gay or everyone decided, well, I don't want to have kids, then there'd be nobody to tend the fields, there'd be no new generations, and we wouldn't have more generations beyond it. But now we're at 8 billion people.
So are you admitting, though, that homosexuality is contrary to human prosperity?
I would, only in the sense of saying that the Bible at that time
has nothing to fucking do with the Bible. It's pure fact. Homosexuality, the alphabet community is one of the things why I'm also against the alphabet community. It's antithesis to human nature, to prosperity, to the continuation of humans. I'm sorry. I'm a humanist. I care about humans. If you're gay, if you're trans, if you're lesbian, I'm sorry. If you're a small population, fuck it. I don't give a shit. But to push your ideology to the larger generation, to the larger populace, you are a cancer. You are a cancer. You are part of what's trying to destroy, right? Just like this is why I fight feminism, right? This is why I talk about feminism. Because feminism, just like the alphabet community, is something, right? It's a part of something that is trying to hurt humanity. It's trying to harm humanity. Feminism does not promote family. Feminism does not promote creating the next generation. Same thing with the alphabet community. So, in my view, you are a cancer. You are an abnormality, right? You are a cancer. Some cancers you can live with. Most cancers you got to get rid of. And I'm sorry, this is why I'm against feminism and the alphabet community, because honestly, you don't help the human species whatsoever. I'm sorry, I don't think feminism helps the human species. I don't think alphabet community helps anything about the human species. So
No, it doesn't. It doesn't help anything. It's individualism. Individualism. Only caring about thyself. That's it. That's the only thing that matters is yourself.
Exactly.
Mess the kids up, it don't matter as long as
Mhm.
you okay at night. That's my problem that I have with feminism, individualism. I have this thing. If it's an ism, it's probably not a good thing. Probably not.
I agree.
The statement you said that if everybody was gay, then
Yeah.
there's no production, which I
Right.
agree. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be hateful or rude.
Right. But yeah, if everybody was gay, but it's not like if we turned around and said, and the Pope came out and said being gay isn't a sin anymore. And we're to say, okay, being gay isn't a sin, that was wrong, go be gay. Not everybody would immediately go and start having fornication with the same biological sex. It's just like if we legalize gambling in Texas tomorrow, not everybody would go out tomorrow and and go to every casino gets built. Not everyone's going to go to it. Just like sports gambling or THC or pot or anything else that eventually becomes legalized. Not everybody is going to go out there immediately, and not everyone's going to go and do these things.
Are you suggesting that the reason why, not everybody, I don't want to use absolutes, but are you suggesting that there are people out there that the only reason they're not gay is because they've been told it's a sin?
Yeah, I think there are people who are in sham marriages who stay, that believe they can pray the gay away, that went through conversion therapy, that decided they're too far down the line.
I definitely would say that there are people with desires, but as far as the fact of the only reason they're not gay is because they've been told that it's not. See, I would disagree because I've read it, tongue twister. I've read work of.
Let me controversial. I think this is my own personal opinion. I don't have this on studies. I don't have no data on it, but I think if you're part of the alphabet community, it's when something in your brain I don't think you're born gay. That's my personal opinion. I don't think you're born gay. I think that you lost your inhibitors, right? You are now, it's like, when there's men that are extremely lustful, right? Men that are extremely lustful, men that can't stop having sex, men that can't stop cheating, can't stop, just like, oh, I gotta pay for a hooker every day, right? I gotta use every single dime and have sex with a woman, or jerk off every day, right? I think, in my personal opinion, that is kind of the same thing, in the sense that certain people lost an inhibitor where, you know what, I'm a degenerate, so I'm going to do degenerate things, right? These people, in my opinion, being gay is the degeneracy, because now you're trying to get as much sex as possible. You don't, it's just this is how I feel, right? I just think that you lost your ability to stop being a degenerate, and that's why you're part of these communities, right? Because you gotta also think, right? Lesbians, right? They are by per capita, by statistic, they're the most abusive, right? I think being abusive is a degeneracy as well, right? Being violent is a degeneracy as well. They're, so that's how I see it.
Yeah, I'll pretty much agree with you, but it could be a multitude of things. It could see a child seeing the evil that women can do and promote and get away with will mess a child up deeply if they don't have that balance. You know what I'm saying? If they don't have a strong enough male presence when that's going on, I don't think it'll be a good outcome. You know what I'm saying? At least a YN. At least a YN. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you gotta think, right? A lot of the people from the alphabet community, when you listen to their stories, almost, I mean, personal opinion, I believe almost all of them say they have a traumatic, childhood, right? So they have traumas. So I mean, if you have a lot of trauma, you kind of what am I gonna say? You kind of get messed up in the head.
Yeah. Goes you off. Yeah.
DA, do you realize homosexuality occurs in nature among animals other than humans? Here's the thing, like I said, right? Abuse is in nature as well, right? A lot of things are in nature. It doesn't mean that it's the norm, right? this is the thing where I'm not saying that gay people shouldn't exist, but I'm saying that they're not the norm. They're not normal. So even nature knows that one of the primary what is it? Primary motivation of nature, primary instinct of nature is to survive and reproduce. That is, there are animals that literally reproduce and die because that is their primary objective, is to reproduce, right? That is their goal. All they care about is to survive and reproduce. If they reproduce, they are willing to die afterwards. So homosexuality, even in nature, right? Even when you say in nature, it's usually to people, it's usually when, well, not people, but animals that have an overabundance of it's weird to say this about animals, but it's a lust thing, right? Uncontrollable. This is why you see dogs humping anything and everything, right? You don't even need to be a female dog. They will hump things, right? They will hump anything, right? Again, it's testosterone, it's all these hormones, right? So even animals who have, again, right, it's the imbalance of hormones. So it's the over sexuality, right? It's over sexual abundance. This is why I said a degenerate nature, right? That's my view. I'm not saying that I have it based on any kind of studies, right? But this is the thing, right? There are animals that can't control their sexual urges, which they're animals. So they will have sex with anything they can have sex with.
Going to Evil Eddie's point, that that's why people call sheeple. That's why people call sheeple. You know, I think, you know, they go along, they can be programmed for things. And I think that's what it is, really. You know, like, I don't know if I agree with the fact that I was born this way. I don't really think I agree with that. I think that you were made that way. Something happened along the line. Something happened.
Because here's the thing, right? I mean, even Spider says, I'm not saying it's the norm. It's obviously not, but to say it's not, it's unnatural, or that people aren't born that way is incorrect. I think it's unnatural, and I don't think people are born that way. I think people become that way. Because here's the thing. I mean, here's the thing where I'm not saying it's unnatural, right? Because here's the thing. I mean, some babies are born without legs. I mean, is that unnatural? I mean, that's not the norm, right? So, you know, this is a thing where the whole human development thing is weird, right? Humans can wide range of things. Okay. You can be born without a leg, born without an arm. You could be born with a lot of defects, right? I'm sorry. I'm going to call it a defect. A lot of defects. So could you be born with a defect in your brain that honestly, I mean, makes you more susceptible when you become traumatized in your real life, in your adulthood, right? And now because of that borning of a defect in your brain, you now, I don't know. Again, I'm going to preface this. Nothing I'm saying is based on any kind of science or data, right? It's just personal opinion, right? Personal opinion from observation. So I just, you know, because this is a thing where when I see things that are like, you know, it's just I just don't see it as being natural. I mean, again, it could go for a longer subject, right? But I just don't see it like that. But
same-sex attracted Christians that they do believe they need to pray about it and struggle with it, but they also don't reject it because someone told them it's a sin. They in their heart acknowledge, I know that it's wrong.
Also, Spider, thank you for stopping by, my brother.
It's an attraction I deal with, something that I ought not do. But they're rejecting it based on the fact that they recognize my original question. God is a designer. God has created us, and therefore I should want to be in the order that he has created us. But I'd like to kind of draw back to something I heard you say when I asked you about, like, would you agree that God has the right to make this decree of how man should exist? You went into, like, I believe this is why it was put there. Yeah. And that's subjective. Right. That's you. Right. But you asked about the Bible. You didn't ask me about what Kelly thinks. Right. You asked me about the Bible. And so my question still stands. Would you agree that whether or not you believe it, that the Bible portrays a God who is the creator of all things, who designs all things and decrees all things, and he has decreed an order for how humanity will exist, and that it is man and woman? And the argument of silence saying, well, because I don't see the argument, or I don't see it saying anything about transgenders, it's an argument of silence. If all throughout the Bible it's man and woman, man and woman.
Granted, if you believe in the Bible, and the Bible says, yes, those who believe it is a sin live in that worldview, then yes, in that limited theory, in that limited space of those that believe that it is a sin and those that believe that it's in there and God has decreed it, fine. We can,
See, this is the thing where I mean, even Eddie's doing great examples, right? But I will say this: there's no proof, right? There's no proof to still say that you can be born gay, right? I here's the thing: I'm not even saying that you're born straight, right? I'm saying that that is a natural human instinct because again, there are animals literally designed to reproduce, and they will die after reproducing, right? So it's a prerogative. This is the thing where because of humans, right? Our need to categorize things, our needs to whatever, right? We talk about straight, gay, all that shit. I just think that it is our nature. It is within our nature, right? It's our nature to want to reproduce. So it is abnormal, right? It's not natural to do things to counteract that, right? Now you could do it, right? Like I said, you live your life how you want, right? If you're gay, you're gay. Do what you want, but it's still not natural. It's still not normal, right? Because within our genes, within our makeup, we want to reproduce. This is why a lot of men want to have sex, right? It's the urge to reproduce, right? We put more because we're so evolved. We put a lust, right? We put a lust connotation. We put a sex or love connotation, but it's about mating. It's about reproducing, and you cannot reproduce with your same sex. You cannot. So it is unnatural, and I can't be on board that you can be born to do something unnatural. Now, again, there could be defects, right? There are defects. There are, things that happen. I just don't think that you're born to do it, right? That's my thing. Now you could, whatever. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, I see it the same way. Nature is born to. I think you're happy. Nature is freaky. And going to your point, who's to say that those examples of same-sex in animals, they already haven't reproduced. They haven't already done their reproducing, so then they choose to do that.
Or we don't think about this, right? Just like there's undesirable men, there's undesirable animals. There's animals that don't get to reproduce. So can you be surprised that they get together? You can't, right? There are certain men, I'm not saying all gay men, right? Or all trans men or whatever, that they're undesirable as they are. So they do what they can to make themselves more desirable. This is maybe a controversial opinion when it comes to the trans men. These are men, right? In my opinion, if they were men, right? If they stayed men, they would be the incels. They will be the ones that no one desires, no one cares about, no one really thinks about, or society doesn't, validate you. So these are men that are depressed, men that may be incels, men that are, even some men that are married, they're just unhappy in life, or they want the validations, or they're jealous, or whatever. So they want to be women, right? To maybe, because we don't think about this, right? In today's day, why wasn't these men, right? Why weren't these men around, let's say in the 1900s, right? Because no one supports this. Why are these men here now? Because women support this shit, right? Women, it's like, I'm amazed by feminists where they're literally about hating men. In general, I'm not saying all feminists, but they're about hating men, yet they will support men being women. Absolutely stupid.
Yep, I agree with that. It just a lot of the trans or incels, men that can't get women, and this is what I want to say. If I can say that feminism promotes penis envy, then whatever is affecting trans is probably vagina envy. You know what I'm saying? If you got penis envy, then you have vagina envy also.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. It ain't nothing about my logic. My logic, if that's logic to me. If I'm going to say it on the right hand, I have to be able to say it on the left hand, or it doesn't make sense to me.
I agree. Yeah.
We can go and believe in homosexuality as a sin based on what you're saying about man and woman.
Can I ask you some just clarifying questions? Because I didn't. You don't really have an online presence. other than your ex account.
Yeah.
And we just got that today. So I just want to ask some clarification.
Okay.
If you're okay with me asking these, because I'm going to ask you some personal questions.
Go ahead.
Are you trans?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I'm gonna do this very, very pointedly, just so everyone understands, because I, at one point in my life, didn't understand what that meant.
Okay.
So you saying you're trans, you look like a woman, so therefore you're technically biologically a male.
See, see, you want to get into the biological
Well,
argument.
I'm just saying that way
I
people can understand
don't,
it. Like,
the idea of biological sex
Mhm.
isn't, it depends on, like, if you take the conservatives' worldview that they kept changing what it meant to be biological, because they would sit there and go, it's your chromosome. Because that's what they started yapping about. Sorry, I don't want your camera. That's what they started yapping about for eon, for like a year plus was, oh, it's your chromosomes, your chromosomes.
Sure.
And then once it came out, oh, there are 31 other sets of chromosomes, not just XX and XY.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, there was a woman with XY chromosomes, a 95% XY chromosomes who had a baby. There's also men that have XX chromosomes,
Sure.
and I have XX chromosomes. I was tested. So biologically, by that limited stature.
okay. You have XX chromosomes?
Yeah.
So you're a trans woman that has XX chromosomes?
Yes,
I'm a little confused.
There-
So,
there
Yeah, I'm
are
confused.
women who have.
What? I didn't know that's
Yeah.
a thing. But again, it's like you know, I forgot, what is it, like women have ovaries and men have gonads, right? It's just,
Yes.
I mean, and then there's many. This is a thing where we're too limited in what we describe men and women are, right? There's many things that, you know, go with men, but it's like, you know, if you're born without an arm, are you not a human? I mean, like, seriously. So it doesn't mean that, okay, I didn't know that, you know, men can have XX chromosome, but fine. Even if you do, it doesn't necessarily make, it's like, it doesn't necessarily make you a woman.
Mm. Mm.
Majority
I think
there are males who have majority.
that just feeds into the mental illness we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because a man having X might make them batshit crazy. Let's just keep it 100.
Thanks.
Might make him a little crazy. Might make him a little crazy. And you got a female inside of a man, for real. For real. That's crazy.
but you've taken these tests. So if you're technically what we call a trans woman.
In the technical sense, yes.
Yeah.
Biologically, by chromosomally,
Uh-huh.
I'm XX. So, but
All right, okay, and I'm getting a little confused.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to get like a gotcha out of you.
Yeah,
I'm legitimately confused. So if you're a trans woman, are you? And if you could help me just in
Okay.
layman terms, does that mean you are a biological male? But
it depends. But see that once again, what's your definition of biological? Are you defining it by chromosomal output? Are you defining it by?
I want to say something, but I don't want to get flagged.
No.
At birth, you were
Yeah,
assigned.
I was assigned male at birth, but I have
Okay,
XX
okay,
chromosomes.
thank you.
That's
That
the thing.
was- yeah, that's what I was
I
trying
don't,
to.
I don't want to sound rude, but since you brought this conversation up, just so I can better understand,
Yeah,
and if this is too personal, but is being born a man with XX, is that, I don't want to sound, how do you word this? Is that similar to people that are born intersex?
I don't see that. To me, it's been muddled. I've not studied it because the idea, the fact that, okay, I will agree to certain ideals that the trans issue has become so muddled and has become so, because in my viewpoint that this became a conservative cause célèbre, that they made it their cause célèbre post Obergefell, that they said, we lost Obergefell, now what do we do? And the next, hill to die on was the trans issue. So they went after the bathrooms in North Carolina. There was a big pushback. They realized it wasn't going to be bathrooms because that got rejected. And then they said, oh, there's Leah Thomas. Let's go after Leah. Let's make.
You know, this is the thing where here's the thing, right? Externally, right? Usually men with XX chromosomes, right? They have smaller testes, right? I think like maybe even, smaller, wee-wees. So men with like certain defects, you can't be surprised that men that have problems personally would have mental problems, would, go into these kind of spaces, right? Like become trans, right? Again, it's all about mental instabilities, right? So.
Forgive me for saying this. Let's deify Riley Gaines, which is what they did. They basically put her and idealized her and put her on a pedestal and said, "This is our, this is our idol for the whole trans cause, and we're going to muddy the water and we're going to simplify the issue to the point where here's the issue."
Sure.
And it became where they ran with it and they created all of these.
Have you listened to Riley Gaines and her side and her testimony?
Yeah, I've heard it. Now here's the thing. I can't believe it because she's so extreme in her viewpoint that it's like, to me, from what I know, yes, she tied for 5th in a race.
Mhm.
She didn't get the trophy. Now, based on my understanding of the rules of the NCAA, the trophy goes to the older athlete. It wasn't because Leah was trans. It wasn't because they were trying to placate Leah. It was, they gave it to her. They gave it to Leah because Leah was older, and they gave Riley a trophy later. That's the NCAA rule. If there's a tie, it goes to the more senior person.
But what about Riley's account of what they said to her?
But see, that's the thing. I don't believe Riley. I just don't, because she just, all she does is I think I'm gonna use the term grifter because that's just the way I look at her. She's doing this. She's making a lot of money. You know, she goes out recently. She starts whining. I can't be a dentist. They told me I can't be a dentist. No one would come see me. There are enough conservatives in this country that would line up around the door to have her be their dentist so that they could sit there and tape it and record it and say, look at me, I'm a MAGA, and I want to get serviced by a MAGA dentist, and they get the rub off from her. So I don't believe for a second that I couldn't be a dentist is an argument, because that's a ridiculous argument, because I'm sure there's thousands of MAGA dentists who are Trump voters, Trump supporters, MAGA patriots, whatever qualification you want to give to these people who are MAGA. I'm sure there are lots of them. And that's just, like I said, to me, I can't believe what Riley says, because it's just her accounting of saying this happened. It's like saying, and I don't want to blasphemize the Bible, but it's like saying we have to take the Bible because the Bible says so. If somebody says this is what's in the Bible, I'm like, okay, well, what's your proof that any of this actually happened? It's just this is a book.
So why do you not want to blaspheme? So I was intrigued by your statement of I don't want to blaspheme the Bible.
I don't want to make Christians feel. I don't want to hate on Christianity. If you believe that this is real and this exists, power to you. I'm sorry, the loudening of the voices of the right wing, the Walshes and the Knowles and the far right wingers who Partridge,
hang on. Okay, so let us get some rebuttals in there, because what you're saying is everything about the Republican Party or conservatives is completely wrong, strictly because you don't believe them. No. And they make good arguments. And I'm going back to the Riley Gaines thing. Because you're saying, I don't believe her because I just don't believe what she says. And all you have to go off is her personal account. But the thing is, there's more people that were there that say the exact same thing that Riley said. And it wasn't something of this guy who is claiming to be transgender just came in. No, he undressed in front of them, and he is a full male on male that undressed in front of them in a girls' locker room, and they were all uncomfortable with that. So are you saying that her account of her saying that you just don't believe because it came out of her mouth?
I don't believe it because if they were so outraged, and I know they say, "Oh, we couldn't speak up because the NCAA told us we couldn't speak up."
Yeah,
that's where they go with it. Oh, well, we couldn't speak up because the NCAA is woke, and they decided that we can't speak up anymore. Honestly,
no, they're fucking woke. I mean, like literally, like seriously, would you be surprised that the NCAA would say that? They allow a trans person into a women's sport, so why would you be surprised that they will also go to the next step where, okay, this trans man, this trans woman can undress in front of actual women? Why would you not believe that? Right? Like, why would they stop? Okay, this trans woman can compete with other women, but still a man, so they need to dress in their own locker room. That don't even make sense. So, do they believe it's a woman or do they believe it's a man? Right? If they believe this trans woman is a woman, guess what? They will do things to follow suit. Right? What a stupid argument.
This is all new, man. This is all new. You heard when somebody was trans, they was still a man. It wasn't trans. This whole term trans women, trans man is new.
Yes, it
very
is
new.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's crazy. She's crazy because anything to prove your point, because you sitting there talking about do you or do you not believe in the Bible? That's one thing I stand on. Now I will say that I per se kind of don't. That's what I will say.
Yeah.
I'll say that though. But she is not saying if you do or not.
I'm gonna be honest. I will never call this person a she. I'm sorry. I will always call it a he. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna indulge people on their insanities.
But you remember that was the old school term. That was the old school term. Remember back in the day, this is a he she. He's a he she. He's a he she. That's what we used to call him. I don't know.
But it was not good enough, right? I think it's not good enough. Yeah. That's when we're playing around with that shit. But now people are just going too far. They truly believe they're women. So I'm gonna be I ain't gonna.
You're not. Yeah, I agree with you. That's something that I gotta let sink into my brain because that's true.
Because when we said he, she's, that was time when men were just cross-dressing, right? Men are just cross-dressing, men just, playing that or men were just effeminate, right? Effeminate. Now, No. These men, like I said, these men are going over. See this thing, right? I can respect a trans person that says that no, I'm not a woman or I'm not a man. I just want to be one. Okay, I'll respect that, right? At least you know the reality. The problem is it's the people who don't know reality, right? Where, like I said, you can dress however you want, you can believe whatever you want, but when you say that, okay, oh no, I'm not just believing I'm a woman. I'm a woman, right? And like I said, I literally hear some trans women, not saying all, but saying that we are the blueprint for women. What? No, you're not. You are a man. How can you be a man in a blueprint for the women, right? That's so that's the problem where it's the delusion. It's the detached from reality, right? That's where I'm talking about these types of people. Because you show your mental instability and high level of it. We all have a little bit. We all have a little bit of crazy in us. The problem is that trans people have too much crazy. That's the problem.
All crazy, all delusion. You're right. Right about that. It's like we used to have men dressing as women in the night, drag queens or whatever, and then but they was men. They knew they was men. They was men. And now we have men changing themselves per se into women. That's just something totally different than what we used to.
And I want to say that. I want to say this, right? No, chromosomally, if this person says is true, they're a woman, I guess, chromosomally. But again, there's more aspects to being a man and a woman, right? Chromosomally, typically XY or XX or gametes, right? Produce sperms or produce eggs. Gonads, testes, or ovaries are hormones, high testosterone, high estrogen, and so there's differences, right? This is the thing where just dressing like a woman doesn't make you a woman. Believing you're a woman doesn't make you a woman, right? Just having one of these, I mean, hell, there are some men that don't produce sperm. Doesn't make him a fucking woman, right? There are some women that don't produce eggs. It doesn't make her a man because there's so much more to being a man or a woman, right? This is the problem with these people, right? They think it's a costume. It's fine. If I dress like a woman, I'm a woman. No, you're not. You're not. You're cosplaying as one. Fine. You want to cosplay as a woman? Go for it. You're not a woman, but you can cosplay.
I think they're lying. I think they're lying.
It's very rare, but I mean, could be.
Come on,
whatever.
Man. Could be.
If they are so beholden to take a stand, now we're going to take a stand on this. Now we're going to put our foot down on it. It's like if you don't do something, it's like if you go to Whataburger and they screw your burger up, you eat it anyways, and then you go and have a fit online and say, you know what, they put pickles on my burger.
Can I interject on that?
Yeah, go for it.
Because it sounds, and I know that I'm here for the biblical talk, but the time between the offense and when you bring it up sounds pretty crazy to say, only because do you believe the U.S. gymnast women about their sexual assault that happened many years prior when they finally came out about it?
Athlete, yeah.
Look, that's a good argument to make, is the fact that there is a statute of limitations on things. The difference is, to me,
not talking about just the fact that sometimes victims take time to come forward.
Victims take time to come forward, and I'm not going to argue that victims shouldn't come forward after a period of
time. Literally, he just destroyed your last argument. He just destroyed this guy's last argument, right? Saying, "Oh, you know what? They didn't say it quick enough." Well, so do you not believe in victims, or do you believe in victims now?
Anything to prove her point, their point. This is
the thing where men can't act like women, right? The need to be right, the illogicalness. Yeah, men can act like women. Plenty of times plenty of times I attack men because they act like fucking women. But doesn't mean you're a fucking woman.
Nope.
Riley Gaines is making profit off of this, and all of these women are making profit off of, because there was Leah Thomas.
Do you think Leah Thomas made any profit off of that?
I don't see Leah Thomas going on every podcast and giving speeches and making.
Not what he said. Not what he said. Yeah. See, you see this? This is the left, right? These are the mentally disturbed people. Okay, so now if people make profit, you disagree with it. So did that trans woman made any profit? And now he's like, she's probably not making as much profit. That's not what you asked. That's not what you're saying. You see the weak argument. I've said this. This is the type of people when your logic is not based on actual logic, it's based on how you feel. your emotions. This is why this man, yeah, he thinks like a woman, right? He thinks like a type of woman. He's not basing his logic on actual sound critical thinking. No, he's basing his logic like a woman. How
Off his
he feels.
feelings.
Yes.
Feels.
But over here, logic over feelings.
Hay off of it for all that I've seen, and that's when they make the right pretty speeches.
Sure.
It's like look at the person in Oklahoma, the one who started whining because she got a 0 on a paper.
Well, hang on. She got a 0 on a paper because it was a transgender teacher's assistant that gave her a 0 because she was talking about God. She wrote her paper about God, and that transgender assistant didn't like that, and she gave her a 0.
But from what I've read, she did not write on the top of the hand. She just rambled on, and that's why she got the 0.
Well, if that's true, if she just rambled on and she just got the 0, it wouldn't be what it is right now because I'm actually connected to the University of Oklahoma. That happened at the University of Oklahoma. None of them would have let that happen if it was just a ramble on. They wouldn't have let that happen.
So this junior took a 100 level class that she didn't need to take, that she took, knowing full well that there was going to be a transgender teacher assistant whose mom is a MAGA, I believe, some sort of elected official in Missouri who's an election.
What the fuck does it do with anything? You can't. This is the thing. This is why I'm very against education nowadays, right? I mean, like, education is a great thing, but it's like, why is education become so liberal? You should have the freedom to. I mean, if it's I don't know the topic, right? But it's like, who gives a shit who your mom is? Who gives a shit if your teacher or your teacher assistant is whatever party? Who gives a shit? You're not doing things because you're not giving a kid grade because of your political opinions. No, that's absolutely ridiculous.
He just anything to prove their point. Anything to prove their point. Anything to prove their point. And it's like, how do you're going against a transgender person in this instance, but you want to go like pick a side, yeah. Where you at? That's what's hard with some of these people because they talk out there behind. They're college educated idiots. That's what they are. College educated idiots. Because
I agree.
it's like, what are you talking about? Like, pick a side. What side of the road are you on? Pick a side. Either you're going to defend what a transgender person did, or you're not. Or if you just going on what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong,
yeah,
you probably wouldn't be sitting in the seat you're sitting in. Honestly, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, because you can't sit there holding the Bible talking about X, Y, and Z, but you want to do whatever you want to do. See, people have been taught they can just do whatever they want to do, and that's crazy. It's crazy to me because I was taught, hey, you better. It's rules to this. It's rules to this, man. You better follow the rules, or you will end up paying the consequences for it. Period. And that's what these people haven't been told, and it's sad to me.
A conservative star to make another hit on the transgender community.
All she was doing is speaking out that she got a 0 because she spoke about God. Like, that's why she came forward.
She got a 0 because she didn't write to the topic. It's the way that
she did. She wrote it in the, what do you call it, the perspective of her perspective when it comes to her walk with Jesus. That's the perspective she wrote in. But the teacher's assistant said no because you spoke about God.
I don't remember the story well enough. From the way that I remember it, she got a 0 because she did not write to the topic, and she got a 0. But the whole setup, the whole setup was just way too. As far as I'm concerned, it was way too convenient.
Convenient? The fuck is like really ridiculous.
To be, it's like look at the San Jose State team, the volleyball team. Look at that. The fact that the player, the one that's gone on and become anti-trans celebrity as she has become.
Cool.
If she was so anti-trans to begin with, and this was far beyond the Riley Gaines, now women were speaking up, and all the other anti-trans, forgive me for saying nonsense, it was already out there, and there was already this empowerment cycle going on.
Let me be honest. I think all women should be anti-trans. I really do. I really think all women. I'm absolutely flabbergasted that any women support trans women. I think it's absolutely insane. So I just think it's really ridiculous. Men don't give a shit about trans man because trans man mean nothing, right? It's not the best thing to be a man or shit like that, right? So you want to suffer as a man, go for it, right? Like, men are not scared of trans men, right? Trans men mean nothing. You think literally we all know the story of that news reporter or that whatever, that columnist or blogger, right? Trying to be a man. She tried to be a man for like a couple weeks, and after being a man, she can't stand it. She literally deleted herself because it was a terrible experience to be a man. So men don't bother if women want to be men. But it's like, I cannot believe any woman would support men with trans women. Amazing.
Yeah, I don't understand either. Just like that boxer that almost got her eye knocked out by.
What's up?
I
heard that one.
And it's the swimmer who spoke up against the same thing. And it's like, what are these women going to do when they have given their whole life to a sport so they can excel, and then the man, actual man, comes in and beats them because they say they're a woman, or in prison, or I'm a woman. I say I'm a woman. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. It's really crazy. It's delusion. I'm sorry. And it's to the point where I would say that anybody who really agrees with this is kind of all for left leaning or something, because this is just like I say all the time that feminism is against God, and I would say the same thing about trans. It's against God. I'm sorry.
100%.
I have certain benchmarks of, like, would you look at Buck Angel and say you use the women's restroom? I mean, that would be ridiculous because Buck Angel's he's to 90.
Buck Angel, am I drawing a blank on that?
I don't know, but I mean, Buck Angel is a trans man. He's a former porn star. He's now a podcaster. He looks like
trans man, meaning he's a woman.
He born a woman.
Okay.
Transitioned. He has a beard. He has a mustache. He's a little bit more fuller than yours.
Okay.
And he uses the men's spaces. But in that theory,
but that's not my question.
I know, but
are you okay with?
Because this is the difference. Men are not bothered by women wanting to be men, because it's like women. Look, this is the thing, right? Women won't be able to compete with men, right? You want to use men's bathrooms, so fucking what, right? Men are not scared that other men are looking at their junks. Yeah. Men are not. It's like, here's the thing, right? Here's the reality of men. If men are scared or men are threatened, guess what happens? Men will fight other men. Men will literally beat the shit out of other men. Right? This is the thing, right? This is the what it's like being a man. You want to go into my space, right? You think you can threaten me? You think that you can look at my junk? I will beat the shit out of you. That's what men would do, right? Women don't do the same. Women aren't going to necessarily beat up a trans woman, right? So
the problem's on their side. Like you said, the problem's on their side.
Yes.
The problem ain't on our side. It's on their side. So them agreeing with it, promoting it, whatever, is going to hurt them. Not us. It's just the same thing with feminism, dog. It's going to hurt them, not us. Yeah. We're going to sit here and be doing the same thing we've been doing since the dawn of humanity. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do whatever we've been doing. It's going to hurt women. It's hurting women. And you can see it on the internet, man. These women are losing their marbles. They're losing their crap. Because men aren't carrying stuff for them, or aren't helping them change tires. Because guess what? If you say you're strong, independent, you don't need no man, then you don't need no man. See, I think that's part of the problem. Women have been able to talk out their ass for so long. You know what I'm saying? And now men are like, oh, we're going to believe you. If you're saying we're creepy for approaching you, then we're not going to approach you. If you saying you're strong and independent, you're strong and independent. Change that tire. And women don't want to. It's like they don't understand that their words mean stuff and have consequences to them. It's kind of crazy to me, but I agree with what you said. That it's like it's not going to affect us like that. It's going to affect them like that, because somebody switching and coming into our space, it's gonna be a long night for them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. All right, let's do a few more minutes and then we'll end up the show.
So what we're fighting against is women able to have their own spaces that we thought.
But if the way you phrase it, it's like, it's just an open door now, and anybody who says that they're trans can go walk into a restroom or a locker
That's
room.
what they're fighting for.
But but see here, okay, look at it this way. You're in a different state. Let's just say you're not in Texas,
Okay.
right? You have an M on your driver's license. I
Yeah.
assume all three of you do.
Sure.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
I will so.
You walk in, go into another state, walk into a women's restroom and say, I'm a trans man. Now, beyond the idea that you all tell me that, yeah, that's a lie because none of you are trans, and I will, that just for sake of an argument, a man says, knows they're a man, walks into a women's locker room, they say, I'm a trans man. Now, at that point, the way conservatives function, now he is a she because he has declared that he's a she. Now he can go into that restroom and use it. He can go into that locker room and use it because he has declared it so. Now he has declared himself a woman. Now, in states where you can, or you used to be able to change your gender markers.
Mhm.
Now, in those states, now he would just say, okay, well, I wasn't, I changed my gender marker. Okay. Now, the way that full faith and credit works in the Constitution, if I go into another state, they have to honor my driver's license, or they have to honor my marriage. I'm not married, but they'd have to honor a marriage certificate,
Sure,
or any
sure.
other document made by a different state.
Sure.
And so this was the whole problem. There wasn't really an issue until conservatives made the issue of it, because there wasn't this like litany of like people act as if every trans person is going to,
You're talking about the outliers, though. What they're fighting against is trans people going into these locker rooms and these bathrooms, and they're sexually assaulting other women. Like, there are actual cases of that.
Right, but
so that's what their underlying thing is. We want to protect our kids.
But you're going to blame. But then again, are you going to blame every trans person? Like, look,
Someone who suffers from gender dysphoria and think they are something that they are not. Yes, I'm going to blame them for that.
You're going to blame every single one of them, like
Because you're operating under something that is just not true.
But you're going to blame all of them and say you're all at fault for this. That's ludicrous, because that would be like saying.
But it's not really blame though. It's just honoring the statistics of, so generalizations can be bad, but they also can be good, right? Like a generalization tells me, why do you think women say I don't feel safe if I'm walking at night, there's a man behind me? She's not blaming all men, but she recognizes that the statistics say that men are usually the abusers. And therefore, if I see a man at night following me in a dark alleyway, I'm not blaming all men, but I know what the general statistics are. And so to kind of support Nick here, Nick's not saying blame them all like you're all guilty, but I believe he's making the claim that there are statistics that have shown that this group has done, therefore we should make precautions. And that's just me trying to add this to make this a little more charitable.
But then would you grant that the majority of gun shootings are done by white men?
No,
absolutely not.
Okay,
Nick, take it away.
Okay, statistically, who?
Yeah,
no, just on a statistical level, what group of people commit the most gun shootings? I just as a
Are you
general-
asking per capita or are you asking?
I want to make. I'm making a general. I'm trying to make a general point here.
Okay.
If you're going to say we need to keep all trans people out of bathrooms and locker rooms because they might do something, because we have to generalize them, then okay, fine. Whoever commits the majority of gun shootings, we need to take all their guns away because they're the people who do it the most, and therefore we need to take their guns away.
I see the logic that you're going after. I agree with what Michael Pagano said. I'm not too sure I agree with what Nick said, and that we should blame all of them. I know that's not what you were actually saying.
I apologize for using the word blame. It wasn't. It wasn't.
No, you're good.
It wasn't trying to. I couldn't find the word, but
I want to put your heart at ease. We're trying to create a platform to where we can agree to disagree.
Right. Let's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I kind of reject the notion that this was an issue only once the Republican Party, and was it the Republican Party, or was it just? I guess if we wanted to politicize it, we'll stick to it being the Republican Party. That it was an issue once the Republican Party made it an issue. I think the reason that people like Riley Gaines exist and people like Matt Walsh exist, Ben Shapiro, goes back to something you said. Oh gosh, I guess half an hour ago now, and that is that transgenders, they were transsexuals in the beginning, right? Well, I've always defined a very big major difference between transgenders and transsexuals, because I remember the 80s. I don't know if you remember the 80s much.
Well, no, I studied it though. I was born in 84.
84. Okay.
Right.
So the transsexuals of the 80s, like the RuPauls, and they never denied that they were men. In fact, they were so convinced that they were men that they knew that what they were doing was sort of a natural evolution of their personality and their character, so much that they made their own spaces for it. Like their space was neither, I mean, if you wanted to put these terms on it, it wasn't gendered space at all. It was for transsexuals. And then somewhere around, I don't know, the late 90s, the turn of the century or something, this offshoot of that, if you want to call it an offshoot of that, it came up, and therefore we gave birth to the transgender movement. And the transgender movement is different from the transsexuals because now they're denying that their assigned sex at birth matters.
Right.
And that becomes problematic now because there's an entire class of people who are now getting into things like the other gender's sports, and they're breaking into the other gender spaces, in other words. And I think that's why we have people like Riley Gaines. My point being, the Republican Party, if it was the Republican Party that turned it into an issue, did so because all of a sudden it was an issue.
But see, okay, there was a tennis player in the 70s, Renee Richards.
Okay.
Trans female, transition. Okay. She played in the US Open.
Yeah.
She did it. And, it became a minor blip, and then it went away and nobody cared. And it's like, and it's a minor footnote in history. She competed. And at the time, yeah, it was a kind of a big deal, but she wasn't that good. So it really didn't even register on the scale of give a crap. My belief is I believe this was a post-Obergefell thing. Like, we lost this, we have to go find another culture war to fight.
Was she a male to female?
Yeah,
Or
she was a male who had surgery, hormones, the whole gambit.
Okay.
Now the way the NCAA did it for many years was estrogen level, and was like, you had to be actively transitioning for so many years and be on estrogen, yada yada yada, and you had to test to some level and degree to make yourself as even as possible. And that used to be the rule in place before the Trump administration. The second Trump administration was, no, it's just not allowed at all. Go with us or else, which is basically what they've done. They've held colleges hostage and said, do this or we're taking away your funding.
I think they'd held them accountable.
That language is I don't know.
Well, it's not
harsh language.
If you're saying, I'm not going to give you funding unless you agree with how we want you to believe, but to some degree they do. And they did it as well. It's just like, they've made trans a cause celeb in a lot of ways, that in the fact that I'm sorry, I know I'm taking up the flip.
You know, I'm going to end it out on this. I will say this, right? No one will give a care if women don't care. So why do I say this, right? So let's say the ones that like the trans women that are in women's sports. If all these women don't give a shit that men or, trans women are entering their sports and dominating them, if none of them give a shit, men don't give a shit. They don't. This is the thing where men don't care if things are unfair to you. Men don't care if, let's say, hypothetically, a trans woman go into your locker room and undress. Men don't care if you make it an issue, right? So I don't think, in my opinion, that, let's say the one, what is it, the Olympic thing, right? I don't think I remember this one, but the Olympic thing, that if a trans woman entered the Olympic sport and no one cared about it. I don't remember it, but if no one cared about it, guess what? Probably because no women cared about it. Men, to be honest, a lot of times men don't care that much about, okay, if things are unfair to you, so fucking what, right? Or if a trans woman or if a man is beating you, okay, whatever, right? But I think is that a lot of times men have a need to defend women, right? So I believe that women, right, certain women made it an issue. They found they were disgusted or whatever. They felt whatever way for a trans woman undressing in their locker room, or a trans woman competing in their sports and taking a position, whatever, a spot in their sport. So men come to women's rescue. I think that's how men think in general. Men will come to women's rescue. That's what I think. It's not men care about, oh, wow, we care so much that, trans women are whatever doing. Nah, we don't give a shit. Men are don't give a shit kind of people, right? Unless you make it something.
Yes. I just think that if somebody, if pretty much a male goes into the bathroom and my daughter runs out uncomfortably, that's a man. That's a man. I'm gonna treat them like a man. Period. And I think that's what they need to be told. It was like, okay, if you want this, fine, we'll give it to you. But guess what? If somebody comes running out of that bathroom, that is a man.
And that's the man. I agree. That's the thing, right? If you make our girls and our women uncomfortable, men will come to the rescue. This is the thing. For since the dawn of time, men are the ones who keep other men in check, right?
Yes.
Men are the ones who keep other men in check. Guess what? Men don't give a shit if you're wearing a dress or not, right? If you're a man, men will keep you in check, right? And if you bother other women, guess what? Men keep that. This is the thing where, why do you think men are the ones who, imprison other men or kill other men or whatever, or, stop other men? Because I think that's part of men's nature, right? That's part of, being a man. We have to keep other men in check. So
who else going to do it?
Yeah, exactly. So I just think that, it's not that no one cared about it, right? It's just that, if women are not making it, if women are not feeling threatened, then whatever, right? If women don't feel threatened by you, well, men, I don't think the conservative, because this is the thing, cross-dressers, right? Men that dress like women were there for decades. I mean, throughout my childhood, I saw plenty of men dressed like women, but women weren't feeling threatened by that, right? So guess what? No one cared because women weren't feeling threatened by it. But guess what? Women are now. So we jump in. And to be honest, there was, like I said, a little bit before, the problem is that also we have these even crazier trans women that actually believe they're women. That is a problem. Me personally, right? For me personally, right? This is why I find it a problem. If you believe you're a woman, that is crazy shit.
That's mental illness.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I would talk about it. That's why I'm against it, right? Again, I'm not saying that, you know what, I want harm to you or, you know, you can't live the life you want. I'm just saying, like, I will call you out on your craziness. That's it, right?
The sad thing is you can't speak against anything now. You know, it's like we're not saying that these people should be discriminated against. We're not saying these people don't have the right to breathe air. We're not saying none of that. We're just saying our views on X, Y, and Z. And I think Evil Eddie said it the best. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
I mean, yeah, I don't care how you live life, but I mean, I'm going to have an opinion on it, but I don't care.
Yeah. I don't care.
Zyrax is okay, but you know what? Next week you should hop on. We'll talk about certain things. We'll talk about other things. So I just, you know, I to be honest, I just jumped to this because I was going to talk about, you know, the thing we didn't finish last time, you know, but you didn't jump on, so I just continue with this topic. Again, I want you guys to know we can talk about anything and every topic, right? So if you guys have watched my YouTube shorts, right? You watch my YouTube shorts, you watch my other videos. This is why. Please check out my other videos. If you have an opinion, a counter opinion, something that you disagree with, hell, if you disagree with my opinions on race, if you disagree with my opinions on women, if you disagree with anything, this is the time, right? I create this Wednesday night is for you to voice your opinion. We can talk about anything and everything, right? We can talk about comic books. We can talk about movies. We can talk about whatever you want. I create tonight to be about my brothers and sisters, right? This is the time. We could talk about anything and everything. Again, these are just I'm just doing this because, you know, as the host, I gotta move the show along to have some kind of topic. But we can always switch topics, right? We can always switch topics to something that, I mean, you know, hopefully I have an opinion on. If I don't have an opinion on, it's not the best thing to talk about. But again, if you have an opposing opinion on anything I said, right? If you agree with me on 99% of things, but you want to talk about that 1% thing you disagree with, bring it on, right? I love it. I want to talk to you guys about anything, right? Anything and everything. So I love you guys.
Yeah, I just want to say that I respect you and I respect your platform. So a lot of things that I may have said on my own, I did not say. You know what I'm saying? But I think it was good to get, like you said, it's good to get your views out. You know what I'm saying? Like I got my views out. I didn't feel restrained in any way, but I could have went harder, man. I could have went harder, but you know, it is what it is, man.
Go for it, right? And because like now that you're cutting things up and putting on your stuff, go harder. Right? You can go harder and you can post it. I love it. Any last thoughts, my brother?
No, I just think it's crazy how he was flip flopping. You know, just flip flopping. It's just like you. I don't think him and women in general realize how bad they look by what they say and do and how they act on camera. They need to watch these stuff. It's like they don't even watch it. It's like they just make the video and post. I watch my videos several times before I post them. You know, and I think that's a little crazy. But I agree with you. It's mental illness, man. Mental illness.
All right, Bars. Thank you for being here, my brother.
Thank you for having me, man. Peace, man.
Later, brother.
Later.
All right, guys. That is it for tonight. I love you guys, right? Evil Eddie, I love you. You're making some banger music, right? Zyrax, I love you, sister. Like I said, if you, I mean, you could do it, right? I mean, if you don't mind doing a little bit of homework, if you see any opposing opinions I have on my YouTube shorts, bring it on. Or I could just, we could continue what we were talking about last time. We could talk about race and stuff, right? I always like talking about race, and talking with a fellow sister about race. I don't mind, right? So we can continue talking about race next week if you want to do it, right? Werewolf, my brother. Rain, I love you, my brother. Thank you for being here. Laughing Man, Red Door, I love you people. You guys are amazing. Spider, thank you for always being here. I love you, my brother. Right. But yeah, that is it for tonight. You guys are amazing. Have a good night. Later, guys. Oh, sorry about Monday. I got home late, so I was just F it. I got home late, ate late, so I wouldn't think that people would watch it too late. So sorry about I didn't have a Monday night live stream, but I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Please check out my other my other content, my YouTube shorts or my videos. All right, that is it for tonight. Later, guys.